Tonight, we're exploring every single deity in the cosmic timeline of the Pokémon universe. This is a fascinating topic, but I'll keep my narration calm to ensure you can still drift off to sleep. Thank you to those of you who've been joining us consistently. Remember to hit the notification bell after subscribing to ensure you never miss a video. If you're falling asleep with us tonight, let me know in the comments how many nights in a row you've been here. And if this is your first night, just comment night 1. Now back to the video. Before there was light, before there was matter, and before there was even the concept of a second passing, there was nothing but a swirling vortex of complete and utter chaos. In the center of this void, a single egg manifested from the nothingness, and from that egg hatched a being that would define the boundaries of existence itself. We call it Arceus, the original one, the alpha and the omega of a world that spans across countless dimensions and thousands of years of recorded history. But to understand the true weight of the divine in the world of Pokémon, we have to look far beyond the simple entries of a modern Pokédex. We have to travel back to a time when the world was young and wild, to the snow-capped peaks of the ancient Hisui region, where the line between myth and reality was as thin as the mountain air. For centuries, scholars and trainers alike have looked toward the sky and wondered about the architects of our reality. We have heard the whispers of a dragon that commands the very flow of time, its heartbeat synchronization with the ticking of every clock in existence. We've heard tales of a master of space, a being that can warp the fabric of the universe with a single breath, making the vast distances between stars feel like nothing more than a step across a room. And then there are the darker stories, the ones spoken in hushed tones about a third sibling, a shadow cast by the light of creation, banished to a realm where the laws of physics are inverted and logic holds no dominion. This is the creation trio, the primary children of the original one, and their story is the foundation upon which every adventure, every battle, and every bond between human and Pokémon is built. But the mystery goes deeper than just 3 powerful dragons. Why did Arceus choose to create a world filled with such diversity and potential for both harmony and destruction? What was the purpose of the 3 small spirits of the lakes, the guardians of the heart and mind, who were tasked with balancing the raw power of the gods with the nuances of emotion, knowledge, and willpower? In the ancient days of Hisui, before the land was known as Sinnoh, the people lived in fear and awe of these entities. They didn't see them as creatures to be caught in a ball or used in a battle. They saw them as the great Sinnoh, the divine fount from which all life flowed. Yet even then there was a great misunderstanding. 2 clans, the Diamond and the Pearl, lived in a state of constant tension, each believing they worshipped the true creator, yet each only seeing a fragment of the whole truth. One saw the eternity of time, the other saw the vastness of space, and in their division, they missed the grander design of the one who stood above them both. Tonight, we are going to piece together that design. We are going to walk through the cosmic timeline, starting from that first primordial spark in the silence of the void. We will witness the birth of the dimensions and the shaping of the continents. We will explore the era of Hisui, a time of samurai and stardust, where a mysterious rift in the sky threatened to undo everything that had been built. We will look into the eyes of the noble Pokémon, the blessed lineages that carried the power of the plates, and we will uncover the truth behind the frenzy that gripped the land. We will also look at the darker side of this divinity, examining the motivations of those who sought to play God themselves. If from the ancient ruins of Machina Town to the modern ambitions of Team Galactic, and the haunting obsession of a man named Volo who wanted to meet the creator face to face, no matter the cost to the world. The stakes of this story are nothing less than the existence of everything we know. If the flow of time stutters, history itself begins to unravel. If the stability of space falters, the very ground beneath our feet ceases to be. And if the original one should ever truly awaken from its eternal rest with judgment in its heart, the world as we know it could be returned to the chaos from which it sprang. This is not just a collection of myths, it is the blueprint of a universe. It is a journey through the stars, through the distortion world, and through the very soul of what it means to be a Pokémon. As we move through the quiet hours of the night, let the scale of these cosmic wonders wash over you. We are going to break down every legend, every ancient text, and every celestial event that has shaped the world of Pokémon from the beginning of time until the present day. We will see how these gods interact with the mortal world, how they have been betrayed by humanity, and how they have offered their protection in return. From the highest peak of Mount Coronet to the deepest depths of the Hall of Origin, the truth is waiting to be uncovered. So, settle in, find your comfort, and let us begin our journey back to the very first moment of the universe, where a single egg waited in the dark, ready to change everything. Before there was light, before there was form, everything existed in a state of utter turmoil. Hobbies, the universe begins as a vortex of primordial chaos and nothingness, a boundless whirlpool where no boundaries held sway. You can almost feel it, the endless spin of raw potential, twisting through an infinite void, devouring itself in silence. No stars pierced the dark, no wind stirred the emptiness, just this relentless churn, like the breath of creation, held captive in an eternal gasp. It was a place beyond comprehension, where existence and non-existence collided in furious harmony, birthing nothing and everything all at once. In that heart of swirling madness, something impossible took shape. A single egg emerges from the center of the swirling vacuum, defying the chaos that should have torn it apart. Fragile orb, smooth and unyielding, hovering motionless amid the frenzy. Its shell gleams with an otherworldly sheen, absorbing the void's fury yet untouched by it. Why there? How could order sprout from such disorder? The ancient Sinnoh myths whisper of no creator before it, no guiding hand, just this egg, materializing as if the vortex itself willed it into being. Legends from Hisui speak of it as the first true miracle, a seed of reality planted in oblivion's core. Time loses meaning in that vacuum, but eventually cracks spiderweb across the egg's surface. A warm glow seeps through, pulsing like a heartbeat, echoing into the silence for the very first time. Arceus hatches as the original one, the first consciousness in existence, shattering the shell in a burst of pure energy that ripples outward, calming the vortex's rage. Its form unfolds, majestic, equine, radiant with plates of gold and white that shift like living armor. Eyes open, he piercing the dark with divine awareness, and in that instant, thought ignites where none had stirred before. Arceus, the alpha Pokémon, the original one, stands alone as the dawn of sentience, its presence a thunderclap in the quiet expanse. You sense the weight of that awakening, don't you? Arceus gazes into the abyss that birthed it, the sole mind in a cosmos still unborn. No siblings, no rivals, just infinite potential humming in its veins. Pokémon lore from the ancient texts of Sinnoh describes this moment as the genesis of all, where Arceus embodies supreme power, its base stat total unmatched at 720, dwarfing even the mightiest legends. It communicates not through words at first, but through telepathic waves that bend reality itself, much like Mewtwo would one day echo in labs far removed from this void. Here, in the primordial hush, Arceus is everything. Creator, observer, the unyielding force that would soon overpower trios of gods without breaking stride. That hatching wasn't mere birth, it was conquest. The chaos recoils as Arceus stirs, its body adapting, plates attuning to the elements yet to exist. Ground, fire, water, all dormant within. Hisui's galaxy team scrolls, etched by early surveyors, revere this entity as the heavenly fount, a protector whose origin aura fragments still pulse with that same embryonic power today. Imagine the solitude, the first consciousness contemplating infinity, feeling the vortex's remnants tug at its form, like spectral fingers. Arceus doesn't flee. It claims the void, its will the anchor that halts the spin. From this egg came not just life, but the blueprint for every Pokémon, every region, from the jagged peaks of ancient Hisui to the unified realms of Ransei. Legends deepen the mystery. Some scholars speculate this Arceus is but a fragment of the true god, a vessel for interaction with the world it forges, while others see the egg as eternal, cycling through cosmic rebirths. In the distortion world's shadows, echoes of that void linger, overseen by Giratina, but that's a tale for shadows yet to fall. What matters here is the purity of that emergence, the original one, unchallenged, its mind vast enough to envision time, space, knowledge itself. No rifts tear the fabric yet, no noble Pokémon frenzy under evil lightning, just Arceus, the spark in nothingness, ready to weave order from the threads of pandemonium. As the last shards of the egg dissolve into ethereal mist, Arceus rises fully, its power coiling like a storm held in check. What secrets lie in those nascent moments before the universe unfurls? The answer unfolds in the reach of its legendary limbs, a spectacle of creation that defies imagination. Up next in Chapter 2, The Thousand Arms of Creation, you'll witness how this solitary being stretches forth to sculpt reality itself. Stay with me as we delve into that breathtaking expansion. From that single egg, cradled in the heart of endless chaos, bursts forth the original one, Arceus itself. No longer just potential, this entity awakens with a presence that ripples through the void, commanding the swirling energies to yield. Arceus, in its nascent form, extends what ancient Sinnoh myths describe as its 1,000 arms, ethereal limbs of pure creation, stretching infinitely into the turmoil. And these are no mere appendages, they are the very instruments through which Arceus utilizes its 1,000 arms to shape the physical laws of reality. Each arm weaves threads of possibility, binding the chaotic flux into coherent rules, gravity to pull matter together, electromagnetism to spark the first lights, the strong and weak nuclear forces to hold atoms in fragile embrace. You can almost feel the tremor as these arms pulse, dictating how energy coalesces, how particles gain mass, how the fabric of existence bends to a newfound order. Picture the raw heat of that primordial soup, hotter than a billion suns where quarks and gluons danced in plasma frenzy. Arceus's arms intervene, channeling the expansion, tempering the fury. This leads to the initial cooling of the cosmos and the formation of the first celestial bodies. Slowly, the temperature plummets from trillions of degrees, allowing protons and neutrons to fuse into hydrogen and helium nuclei. Those 1,000 arms guide the protons, nudging electrons into orbits, birthing the first neutral atoms in a haze of cosmic fog. Vast clouds of gas condense under their influence, collapsing into glowing spheres, the inaugural stars igniting in nurseries of nebulae that stretch across the newborn expanse. These stars don't flicker alone, they cluster. Their gravity wells, defined by Arceus's precise calibrations, drawing in more matter. Proto-galaxies spiral into being, arms of stellar fire tracing patterns that echo the original one's own limbs. In this symphony of formation, dark matter halos emerge as invisible scaffolds, holding the visible universe in place, while black holes yawn at the centers, swallowing light to fuel further creation. The cosmos breathes its first structured breath, a vast, cooling expanse where time itself begins to tick in measurable rhythms. Space folds into dimensions we can navigate. Yet, here's where the lore deepens into profound mystery. Scholars of Pokémon myth draw a sharp distinction between the metaphysical concept of Arceus and its physical avatar. The true Arceus, that boundless essence born from the egg, transcends form altogether, an omnipresent force, eternal and indivisible, slumbering in what texts call its eternal rest after the initial shaping. It's the architect woven into every quark, every photon, the unchanging will that sustains reality's laws without effort. What we encounter in tales from Hisui or the movies, that's a physical avatar, a manifested fragment tailored for interaction, a vessel of plates and power, like the origin for me glimpsed in ancient rifts, or the stone guardian atop Destiny Tower in other legends. This avatar isn't diminished. It wields plates of stone, fire, water, and more, channeling the Thousand Arms legacy to bless noble Pokémon in Hisui's wilds. Think of the origin, or pulsing in Mount Coronet, a shard of that divine power, drawing space-time rifts that twist causality. The Diamond Clan, led by the impulsive Adaman and his Leafeon, reveres Dialga as the embodiment of this force, while the Pearl Clan's cautious Irida and her Glaceon hail Palkia for mastering Hisui's vast spaces. Wardens like the clairvoyant Sabi or the doubting Garrick Guard, the frenzied nobles, whose rampages stem from rift-tainted evil lightning, all under the Avatar's watchful gaze. In the chaos of ancient Machina Town, as depicted in the Jewel of Life tale, this physical Arceus awakens in fury, its betrayal-fueled wrath threatening to unravel the very laws it forged. Ash and his companions, hurled back by Dialga's temporal maelstrom, must soothe it, revealing how even the Avatar's emotions echo the metaphysical core's immense stakes. Or consider Volo's desperate plot at Hisui's pinnacle, summoning the Avatar to remake the world from personal tragedy, a hubris that nearly reignites primordial chaos. These manifestations remind us the Thousand Arms aren't relics of a one-time act. They persist subtly etched into the plates that empower typings, into the Lake Guardian's trinity of knowledge, emotion, and willpower, born later to nurture the mind's realms. Arceus's physical forms adapt, telepathic like Mewtwo, overpowering the creation trio in unison, yet always point back to the formless whole, highest in base stats, unchallenged sovereign. As the first galaxies wheel in their ordered dance, stars forging heavier elements in explosive hearts, the cooling cosmos hungers for finer control. Matter clumps into planets, oceans simmer on rocky worlds, atmospheres thicken under those enduring laws. But harmony demands stewards for time's relentless march and space's boundless stretch, entities to prevent the grand design from fraying at the edges. And so, from eggs crafted by those same Thousand Arms, stir the next guardians of this reality. In Chapter 3, the birth of the creation trio will witness Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina emerge to claim their domains. But what distortions arise when their powers clash with the fragile balance Arceus so meticulously wove? With the physical laws of reality now firmly etched by its Thousand Arms, Arceus turned its gaze inward, recognizing that even a perfect framework demands eternal guardians to prevent unraveling. The original one, that boundless metaphysical force manifesting through its earthly avatar, understood the fragility of existence, how time could loop endlessly without direction, space could collapse into suffocating voids, and unseen forces might tear it all asunder. From the heart of its divine essence, Arceus creates 3 eggs to govern the fundamental dimensions of the universe. These weren't ordinary eggs, born of mere matter, but radiant orbs woven from the primordial chaos itself, each pulsing with a distinct heartbeat that echoed across the nascent cosmos. Suspended in the void where stars had yet to ignite, they hovered like jewels in an infinite shrine, their shells shimmering with veins of pure energy, gold for one, pearl white for another, shadowed obsidian for the third. Arceus infused them with fragments of its own infinite power, breathing life into controllers of time, space, and the turbulent distortions that bind them. The air around these eggs hummed with potential, a low vibration that rippled outward, seeding the first whispers of galaxies and the subtle tick of moments yet to come. As the first egg quivers and cracks under an unseen pressure, a majestic form emerges, armoured in steel blue plates that gleam like forged diamonds under an unformed sun. Dialga is born to ensure the steady, all forward flow of time. Its body, a colossal fusion of draconic might and mechanical precision, towers with chest plates resembling ancient clocks, each etch marking eternities past and futures unborn. From its crown rises a crest like a temporal crown, channeling the relentless march of seconds into minutes, hours into eras. Dialga's roar isn't mere sound, it's the inexorable pulse that propels existence onward, preventing the universe from stagnating in loops or dissolving into forgotten yesterdays. In the ancient lore of Hisui, this steel behemoth became the object of fervent worship among the Diamond clan. Led by the impulsive chieftain Adaman and his loyal Leafeon, they beheld Dialga not as a mere servant of Arceus, but as the very embodiment of Sinnoh's deity, the forward thinker who urged humanity to charge into tomorrow without hesitation. Legends whisper of Dialga's origin former, a shape eerily reminiscent of Arceus itself, as if the steel dragon borrowed its creator's silhouette to amplify its dominion. Yet Dialga's true power lies in balance, summoned through space-time rifts over Mount Coronet. It mends fractures where time unravels, ensuring that Pokémon and humans alike experience causality without chaos. Imagine the Diamond clan's rituals under starlit skies, chanting to invoke that steady rhythm, their lives synchronized to Dialga's unyielding cadence. But time alone cannot sustain a universe without room to breathe. The second egg fractures open with a sound like dimensions unfolding, birthing a being of pearlescent fury and boundless reach. Or, Palkia is manifested to provide the infinite expanse of physical space. Its form twists with raw spatial energy, magenta scales rippling like portals to uncharted realms, shoulders bearing orbs that warp reality at a glance. Stronger arms than Dialga's propel it through voids, claws that could rend continents or stretch horizons to infinity. Palkia's domain is the canvas upon which all matter paints itself, expanding the cramped void into galaxies, birthing planets from nothingness, and holding antimatter at bay to prevent implosion. The Pearl clan of Hisui, under the cautious Irida and her Glaceon companion, revered Palkia as their Sinnoh deity, eyes wide with awe at Hisui's vast wilds. They saw in its power a call to reverence, to map the endless without overreaching, or their wardens like Gyric questioning frenzied nobles, while Sabi's visions pierced spatial rifts. Palkia's origin. Former mirrors Arceus too, a strategic echo that some loremasters speculate grants it supremacy in battles against its sibling. Clashes between Dialga and Palkia scar the myths, rifts tearing open where their powers collide, spawning the evil lightning that drove noble Pokémon mad, demanding heroes from future eras to quell the frenzy at Mount Coronet's peak. These two titans, Time's Arrow and Space's Infinity, formed the pillars upon which Arceus built stability, their births marking the universe's first true order. Yet whispers persist of the third egg, its shadow lingering darker, hinting at forces Arceus deemed too volatile for the light of creation. The Diamond and Pearl clans' rivalries echo this tension, and Adaman's impulsiveness clashing with Irida's caution, all rooted in misinterpreting these deities as the original one itself. In the Galaxy team's surveys, amid Hisui's tense wilds, every catalogued Pokémon species subtly nods to this cosmic foundation. Time's flow birthing evolutions, space's expanse allowing migrations across noble guarded realms. Arceus, ever watchful, positioned itself as master over the creation trio, its telepathic might capable of overpowering them in unison, a reminder that even gods serve the original. But the third egg's occupant stirred unrest from the start, its distortion rippling against the harmony Dialga and Palkia enforced. Volo's ancient plot at Mount Coronet, driven by personal tragedy, sought to exploit these rifts, summoning Arceus to remake reality. but that's a tale woven deeper into the shadows. As we approach Chapter 4, the shadow of the distortion world, you'll uncover the exiled fate of that third egg and the banished renegade who challenges the very fabric Dialga and Palkia uphold. What darkness did Arceus cast out to preserve its creation? With Dialga now pulsing as the unyielding heart of time, Arceus turned its gaze to the remaining eggs, each cradling a force essential to the budding cosmos. The second shell cracked open to reveal Palkia, the shaper of space, its massive form rippling like liquid pearl, expanding and contracting the void into vast infinite expanses. Palkia's domains stretched reality's boundaries, folding distances into pathways and weaving the scaffolding upon which stars would one day gleam. Yet it was the third egg that harboured the most turbulent essence, a shadow lurking at the edge of creation itself. From that final shell emerged Giratina, birthed as the third member of the creation trio, embodying antimatter and the raw instability that threatens all ordered existence. Unlike its siblings, who wove harmony into the universe, Giratina uncoiled in a storm of jagged darkness, its body a skeletal spectre of crimson eyes and tattered ghostly wings that seemed to devour light rather than reflect it. Antimatter coursed through its veins, the perfect counterforce to the matter shaped by Palkia, a chaotic mirror that unravelled threads of space, even as they formed. You can almost feel the tremor in the nascent world as Giratina stirred, its presence warping the air into fractured mirrors, where reflections twisted into impossible angles and echoes repeated in dissonant loops. Or as this was no gentle guardian, Giratina represented the inherent fragility of reality, the instability that simmers beneath every stable moment, ready to erupt. Arceus watched as Giratina's power manifested not in creation, but in destruction. Its antimatter claws tore at the delicate balance Dialga and Palkia had begun to forge, sending shockwaves that buckled time's flow and crumpled space into abyssal voids. Clashes echoed through the void, Giratina lunging with feral fury, its roars a guttural howl that split the fabric of existence, while Dialga's diamond-hard form held the timeline steady and Palkia's pearls shimmered in a defensive expansion. The violence was innate, unstoppable, a primal rage born from Giratina's very nature, as if the egg had incubated not life, but the universe's suppressed fury. Shadows bled from its form, coiling like smoke from a dying star, erasing nascent galaxies in flickers of nothingness. Arceus, the original one, could tolerate no such threat to the order it had meticulously crafted with its 1,000 arms. In a moment of divine reckoning, the inherent violence of Giratina led to its banishment by Arceus. With a surge of overwhelming authority, Arceus seized the renegade deity, its plates gleaming with the full spectrum of creation's fury, and hurled Giratina through a rift born in reality's veil. No mercy tempered the exile. Giratina was cast out, its ghostly silhouette vanishing into an uncharted limbo, where its destructive impulses could no longer menace the physical realm. But Arceus, ever the architect of balance, did not abandon its wayward child to oblivion. In the wake of the banishment, the creator forged the distortion world as a structural anchor for the physical realm. This parallel dimension materialized as a labyrinth of inverted gravity and perpetual twilight, a realm where up became down, walls floated like illusions, and platforms hovered in defiance of logic. Giratina's new prison, or throne, was a masterpiece of enforced stability, its crumbling spires and reversed waterfalls serving as counterweights to the orderly cosmos beyond. Here, antimatter found containment, instability channeled into a necessary counterbalance, preventing the physical universe from collapsing under its own uniformity. The distortion world pulsed in sync with Hisui's ancient skies, its energies seeping through rifts like the one over Mount Coronet, whispering frenzies into noble Pokémon and stirring the space-time distortions that would one day draw humans into its mysteries. Giratina prowled its depths, a perpetual sentinel, its red gaze piercing the barriers, ensuring that without this shadow, the light of creation might blind itself to oblivion. Legends from the Hisui era echo this cosmic exile. The Diamond and Pearl clans, worshipping Dialga and Palkia as embodiments of their sin or deity, sense the undercurrents of Giratina's influence in the land's vast, treacherous expanses. Wardens like Garrick and Sabi spoke of frenzies born from evil lightning pouring from the rift, unaware that these were echoes of Giratina's banished rage, stabilized yet simmering. Even Volo's desperate plot at Mount Coronet, seeking to summon Arceus amid the chaos, brushed against the distortion world's fringes, as if the shadow deity's instability fueled the unraveling he craved. In the movies too, Giratina emerges from its world during clashes between Dialga and Palkia, its form shifting between the armoured menace of altered formae and the ethereal drift of origin formae, a reminder that antimatter's violence, though contained, yearns for release. Yet this banishment was no mere punishment. It was the keystone of cosmic equilibrium. Without Giratina's distortion anchoring the edges, Palkia's space might expand unchecked into infinity's maw, and Dialga's time could loop into stagnant eternity. The distortion world holds the universe taut. Like invisible guy wires on a vast tent, its perpetual storm, a lullaby of controlled chaos. Giratina, once the violent outcast, now reigns in ghostly isolation, its wings folding platforms into existence and shattering them anew, a deity of necessary negation. As the creation trio finds its fractured harmony, time flowing, space expanding, distortion balancing, Arceus contemplates the voids within life itself, the unseen forces that would breathe soul into the stars. That brings us to Chapter 5, The Architects of the Soul, where you'll discover the trio destined to ignite knowledge, emotion, and willpower in every being, forging the very essence that makes Pokémon and humans more than mere matter. What hidden eggs await in the tranquil lakes of Hisui, and how do they mend the shadows we've just explored? Stay with me as we descend into their shimmering depths. With Giratina's chaotic fury sealed away in the twisting voids of the distortion world, Arceus turned its gaze upon the vast tapestry it had woven. Time flowed onward under Dialga's unyielding rhythm. Space expanded in Palkia's boundless embrace, and matter coalesced into stars, worlds, and shimmering seas. Yet in that moment of profound stillness, a revelation stirred within the original one. Arceus realized that matter and time require consciousness to have meaning. Without minds to perceive the ticking of seconds, without hearts to feel the weight of existence, the universe Arceus had forged hung empty, a grand machine ticking in silence. Mountains rose and eroded, oceans churned against silent shores, but who would witness the dawn's first light breaking over endless horizons? Who would ponder the stars' ancient fires, or tremble at the thunder's roar? Creation demanded more than structure. It yearned for souls to animate its forms, for awareness to breathe purpose into the void. From the core of its being, Arceus drew forth a single spark, a radiant ember pulsing with the essence of life itself, no larger than a fleeting thought yet brimming with infinite potential. This spark hovered in the ether, quivering like a heartbeat in the cosmic dark, its light fracturing into three distinct glows that danced and separated. The Lake Guardians, Uxie, Mesprit and Azulf, were created from a single spark. Uxie emerged first, its yellow form sleek and ethereal, eyes closed in eternal contemplation, a being of pure knowledge etched into every facet of its crystalline body. It floated serenely, absorbing the universe's secrets, the spin of galaxies, the hidden patterns in windswept leaves, the unspoken laws binding atom to atom. Mesprit followed, a pink wisp of joy and sorrow intertwined, its tendrils trailing like ribbons caught in an unseen breeze, embodying emotion's wild symphony. The rush of love's warmth, the sting of loss, the spark of unbridled laughter echoing through the stars. Azulf crystallized last, blue and resolute, its tail a whip of determination, channeling willpower's unyielding force. The drive that turns dreams into mountains moved, the resolve that defies tempests and forges paths through impossibility. These three, bound yet distinct, became the architects of the soul, entrusted with a sacred charge. They scattered across the newborn world, seeking the hidden cradles of Sinor's ancient heart, lakes of crystal clarity where the land met the sky in perfect harmony. Uxie descended upon Lake Acuity in the snowy north, its waters freezing into mirrors of intellect, where every ripple whispered forgotten wisdom to those who dared listen. Mesprit claimed Lake Verity to the south, its surface alive with the play of light and shadow, stirring feelings that bloomed like wildflowers in the human spirit. Azulf claimed Lake Valor in the east, its depths boiling with fervor, fueling the inner fire that propelled life forward against all odds. From these sacred sites, the Guardians unleashed their gifts, distributing knowledge, emotion, and willpower to all living things. Tendrils of light radiated outward, invisible threads weaving into the fabric of existence. Pokémon felt it first, the spark igniting in a Bidef's curious burrow, granting it the know-how to tunnel through stone. A Starly's heart swelling with the thrill of flight, emotions guiding its soaring arcs. A Shinx's muscles tensing with newfound grit, willing sparks to leap from pore to storm. Humans, too, received this divine endowment, their minds awakening to questions of the stars, their souls alight with passions that built villages from wilderness, their wills carving legends into eternity. In the lore of Hisui, these lakes stood as hallowed ground, whispered about by the Galaxy Team's scribes, and revered by clans who glimpsed the Guardians' fleeting forms. The Diamond Clan, ever chasing time's arrow, spoke of Uxie's wisdom as the key to predicting Dialga's moods. The Pearl Clan, attuned to space's vastness, felt Mesprit's emotions in Palkia's expansive pull. Wardens like Sabi, with her clairvoyant visions atop icy peaks, and Garrick, doubting the frenzies yet guarding with brute resolve, patrolled these waters, sensing the Guardian's influence tempering the noble Pokémon's wild rages born from the space-time rift. Yet the Guardian's work was no mere endowment, it was a delicate balance. Knowledge without emotion risks cold detachment, like a library's dust gathering on unread tomes. Emotion unchecked by will spirals into chaos, a storm without anchor. Willpower devoid of knowledge charges blindly into oblivion. Together, they form the soul's trinity, ensuring every creature, from the tiniest cricketot chirping under moonlight to the mightiest Garchomp cleaving earth, possessed the full spectrum to thrive. Arceus watched as life flourished, herds migrating with instinctive savvy, battles waged with heartfelt fury, evolution sparked by sheer tenacity. The universe, once a silent expanse, now hummed with purpose, every breath a testament to consciousness's triumph. Even in the turbulent era of Hisui, when rifts tore at reality and nobles rampaged under frenzy's curse, the Guardians' essences endured. Legends tell of them fleeing to the lake's depths during crises, their presence a subtle balm against the chaos Volo sought to unleash at Mount Coronet. Arceus, master of both Creation Trio and these Soul Weavers, drew strength from their harmony, a reminder that true creation lies not in raw power, but in the minds and hearts it awakens. As the spark's light faded into the world's every corner, Arceus felt the first stirrings of weariness, the creator's labour nearing its zenith. What comes when the original one seeks repose, leaving its masterpieces to unfold in an ancient slumber? In Chapter 6, The Ancient Slumber, you'll uncover the profound quiet that follows, and the mysteries it births in the Pokémon cosmos. With the Lake Guardians now infused into the fabric of existence, their spark of knowledge, emotion, and willpower granting true purpose to the endless march of time and the vast expanse of space, Arceus pauses. The original one beholds a universe no longer a barren scaffold, but a living canvas humming with potential, every thread of reality woven with intention. Having completed the foundational architecture, Arceus enters a deep meditative rest. Picture the alpha Pokémon, its radiant form dimming like a star folding inward after birthing galaxies. No longer does it stride the newborn realms with its 1,000 arms outstretched, moulding mountains from mist or rivers from thought. The act of creation, that furious symphony of emergence from chaos, ebbs away, Exhaustion isn't the word, it's fulfillment, a profound satiation that demands retreat. Arceus senses the rhythms it has set in motion. Dialga's unyielding tick of moments stacking into eternities. Palkia's boundless stretch pulling dimensions taut. Giratina's shadowed churn in the fringes holding back the void. Even the lake guardians pulse faintly, their essences rippling through waters yet unformed, minds yet unborn. All is in balance, fragile but whole. In this hush, Arceus turns inward, its body dissolving into a cascade of golden light that scatters like pollen on cosmic winds. The physical avatar, that vessel of divine labour, fades, leaving only echoes in the myths of ancient peoples. Whispers among the Sinnoh tribes would later call this the Great Withdrawal, a slumber so absolute it borders on transcendence. No storms rage, no worlds shatter in its absence. Proof of the architecture's strength, yet in the quiet, you can almost hear the subtle shift, the universe exhaling for the first time, without its maker's breath guiding every gust. The original one retreats to the Hall of Origin, outside the flow of time. This sanctum exists in a pocket beyond Dialga's grasp, a realm where past and future converge into an endless now. Legends from Hisui's Galaxy Team scrolls describe it as a crystalline vault suspended in starless void, walls etched with the egg's primordial curve, floors of polished nothingness reflecting infinite Arceus forms. Here the creator contemplates not through action, but pure being, untouched by the linear chains it bestowed upon creation. No rift can pierce it, no frenzy of noble beasts or human ambition can summon its return unbidden. It's a place of perfect stillness, where the hum of the creation trio fades to silence, and the Lake Guardian's spark glimmers only as distant fireflies. From this vantage, Arceus watches without interfering, its consciousness a gentle overseer. The Hall of Origin becomes legend itself, accessible only by the azure flute's forgotten song, a path trodden in dreams by those who glimpse the divine. In Pokémon Diamond and Pearl's hidden code, it lingered as an unfinished promise, a summit unclimbed, whispering of power held in abeyance. The universe is left to develop, under the stewardship of the lesser deities. Dialga forges ahead, its steel heart beating out Eros, dawn of species, rise of oceans, the first tentative bonds between Pokémon and the shadows of humanity. Palkia expands the horizons, birthing archipelagos and skies that swallow horizons whole, ensuring no corner of reality collapses under its own weight. Giratina, ever the wild counterpoint, enforces boundaries from the distortion world, its rage a necessary fury that devours excess chaos before it spreads. And the Lake Guardians, they weave through it all, Uxie's clarity birthing intellect in beasts and men alike, Mesprit igniting the fire of feeling that turns survival into stories, Azulf steeling wills against the void's pull. Freed from direct command, these forces evolve organically. Clans in ancient Hisui would mistake Dialga and Palkia for the Sinnoh deity itself, their leaders Adaman and Irida raising altars under Mount Corinth's watchful gaze, blind to the greater architect dreaming beyond. Noble Pokémon, blessed with plates of origin awe, Roma's guardians, their frenzies mere growing pains in a world stretching its limbs. Space-time rifts flicker like scars from the birth, hints of the trio's youthful clashes, but the deities mend them in time, their stewardship a patient hand rather than Arceus's thunderous forge. This ancient slumber marks the pivot from imposition to allowance. No longer does creation bend to a singular will, it unfolds, wild and wondrous, with the lesser gods as its shepherds. Conflicts brew in the rifts, emotions flare among the first human settlements, knowledge sparks forbidden rituals, but all under watchful, distant eyes. Arceus rests, yet its presence lingers in every plate of power, every egg that hatches defiance against entropy. In the movies, echoes of this withdrawal stir fury. A betrayed Arceus lashes from its slumber in Machina Town, nearly unraveling the jewel of life itself until heroes bridge the eras. In Super Mystery Dungeon, it communes telepathically from stone-like vigil at Destiny Tower, aiding against darker voids. These glimpses remind us, the slumber is not abandonment, but trust in the architecture's endurance. As the cosmic clock ticks onward without its maker's direct pulse, the lands of Hisui begin to take vivid shape, where rifts tear open and clans clash in reverence and rivalry. That's what we'll uncover next in Chapter 7. The shaping of Hisui, where the stewardship of the deities carves a region from raw potential into a cradle of legend. Stay with me to see how it all takes root. With Arceus withdrawn into its eternal vigil at the Hall of Origin, the universe it had forged continued to unfold under the subtle guidance of its lingering essence. The raw forces of creation, set in motion by the original one's 1,000 arms, now churned through the planet's depths, sculpting continents from molten fury. Deep beneath the surface, colossal plates of the Earth's crust ground against one another in slow, inexorable dances. These tectonic shifts, born from the primordial energies Dialga and Palkia had been tasked to govern, eaved and buckled over eons. Magma surged upward in rivers of fire, cooling into jagged peaks and vast plains, while fissures tore open to swallow oceans and spew ash that blanketed the skies in twilight gloom. You can almost feel the ground trembling underfoot, the air thick with sulfur and the distant roar of collapsing mountains. As these cataclysmic forces coalesced into the ancient landmass known as Hisui, Hisui emerged not as a gentle cradle, but a wild forge of stone and storm. Its western shores clawed into the sea like the talons of some awakening beast, while the east rose in stepped highlands shrouded in eternal mist. Rivers carved serpentine paths through obsidian valleys, and forests of ironwood trees took root in soil enriched by volcanic breath. At the heart of this newborn realm stood Mount Coronet, a titan among peaks, its slopes veined with glowing crystals that pulsed like veins of captured starlight. This was no ordinary mountain. It served as the nexus where the world's foundational powers converged. From Arceus itself flowed the energy of the heavenly fount, that boundless wellspring of divine vitality the ancients would come to revere. In the quiet aftermath of creation, this radiant force seeped through the fabric of reality, drawn inexorably to points of greatest instability. Mount Coronet, pierced by a nascent space-time rift. A tear in the veil between dimensions acted as a lodestone. The rift's chaotic whispers amplified the fount's power, concentrating it into shimmering deposits of origin ore. These luminous stones embedded themselves in the mountain's core, humming with an otherworldly resonance that warped the air around them, causing wild Pokémon to frenzy and shadows to twist unnaturally. Picture the ore's glow filtering through cracks in the rock, casting ethereal blues and golds across cavern, walls slick with condensation. The energy radiated outward, infusing the land with vitality. Grasses grew taller and more resilient, waters ran clearer and teeming with life, and the very winds carried whispers of potential yet unrealized. Yet this concentration was double-edged. The rift's instability invited distortions, pulling fragments of other times and places into Hisui's skies, where they hung like fractured mirrors before dissolving into sparks. It was into this volatile paradise that the first humans arrived, fragile wanderers crossing treacherous seas on crude vessels of hollowed logs and woven reeds. They washed ashore amid crashing waves, their eyes wide with awe at the land's untamed splendor. Starved and weathered, they beheld the towering form of Mount Coronet, piercing the clouds, its peak wreathed in auroras that danced like living flames. To these early settlers, the mountain was no mere rock. It was the throne of gods, the source from which all bounty flowed. Their primitive interpretations of the divine took root swiftly, shaped by survival's harsh lessons. They gathered around flickering campfires, etching tales into bark and stone. The heavenly fount as a benevolent spirit dwelling within the mountain, gifting strength to noble beasts that guarded the wilds. These noble Pokémon, blessed by Arceus with plates of pure elemental power, roamed as colossal sentinels, their forms echoing the original one's majesty. A towering lord of the woods, with antlers like branched lightning, or a sovereign of the skies whose wings stirred tempests. Humans whispered prayers to these guardians, offering fruits and blood oaths, mistaking their frenzied roars, stirred by rift-born evil lightning or divine wrath. Clans formed in the shadow of the mountain, their shamans scaling perilous paths to harvest slivers of origin ore, believing it held the fount's very tears. They crafted amulets from it, feeling its warmth pulse against their skin like a second heartbeat, and in visions induced by its glow, they glimpsed echoes of Arceus, a wheel of light, arms unfolding to birth stars, yet fear-tempered reverence. The land's quakes and rifts were omens of celestial displeasure, demanding rituals to appease the unseen architect. As generations passed, these humans wove the fount's energy into their worldview, seeing Mount Coronet not just as a landmark, but the axis upon which Hisui turned. Pokémon and people coexisted in wary truce, the former embodying raw power, the latter ingenuity born of desperation. Tools of bone and flint gave way to woven nets and herbal poultices, all while eyes remained fixed upward, toward the rift's flickering maw. But harmony proved fleeting. Whispers of deeper truths stirred among the clans. Visions of time's relentless march and space's infinite expanse, personified in draconic forms, glimpsed through the rift. Differing shamans began to claim exclusive revelations, fracturing the unified awe into rival doctrines. One group hailed a deity of endless progression, another a vastness that dwarfed all horizons. These budding divisions would soon erupt into something far more profound. As you'll discover in Chapter 8, the Great Schism of Faith, where the fragile unity of Hisui's people shatters under the weight of misinterpreted gods. With the jagged peaks of Mount Coronet now standing sentinel over Hisui's newborn valleys, the first human settlers trickled in from distant shores. Their wooden longships carving wakes through fog-shrouded seas. These hardy wanderers, driven by whispers of a radiant energy, pulsing from the heavenly fount, built thatched villages along the rivers and foothills, where the earth still hummed with the aftershocks of creation. They marveled at Pokémon roaming wild, majestic herds of Wurdeer thundering across plains, spectral Hisuian Zoroark vanishing into twilight mists, and they felt the land's raw vitality, as if Arceus's distant slumber had left echoes of divine breath in every stone and stream. Among these early settlers, bonds formed quickly, forged in the shared peril of a frontier where harmony between man and Pokémon was more dream than reality. Yet, as the space-time rift yawned wider above the mountain, bathing the night's ethereal crimson light, visions began to haunt their dreams. Flickers of colossal forms emerged from the tier in reality, towering silhouettes of pearl-white scales and diamond-hard armor, their roars shaking the stars. To these people, untouched by the full lore of the original one, these apparitions were no mere legends. They were the embodiment of the land itself, the supreme force they came to call the Great Sinnoh. This tragic misunderstanding of the Great Sinnoh marked the beginning of the split in theology, a fracture that would scar Hisui's soul for generations. Some settlers, gazing into the rift's glow, perceived a being whose every movement warped the flow of moments, days, bleeding into nights in unnatural haste, rivers seeming to rush backward or freeze mid-current. They named it the Arbiter of Time, eternal and unyielding, a deity demanding progress, conquest of the unknown. Others, peering deeper into the void, saw vastness unbound, horizons folding like parchment, distant peaks drawing near in impossible contortions, the very air folding to reveal hidden realms. To them, the Great Sinnoh governed space itself, infinite and cautious, a protector urging reverence for Hisui's boundless expanse. From these divided interpretations rose the emergence of the Diamond and Pearl clans among the early settlers, two pillars of faith taking shape amid communal firesides and storm-lashed gatherings. The Diamond clan gathered under leaders who championed boldness, their banners etched with crystalline facets, catching the sun like frozen fire. They revered the time aspect of the Great Sinnoh, believing it urged humanity forward, to tame the wilds and etch their mark on eternity. Huts clustered into sturdy enclaves near the mountain's eastern slopes, where forges rang day and night, hammers shaping tools from rift-fallen ores that shimmered with temporal echoes. Across the frost-kissed valleys, the Pearl clan coalesced around those who bowed to spatial infinity, their sigils swirling like captured galaxies on pale hides. They built wind-swept longhouses westward, facing the endless sea, performing rituals under moonlit skies to honor the deities' caution. Offerings of shells and starlit quartz laid at rift-touched shores, chants invoking protection from the land's overwhelming scale. What began as fervent debates by hearthlight, arguments over whether the great Sinnoh's roar heralded relentless march or sacred stillness, hardened into doctrinal lines, priests on both sides claiming exclusive visions, dismissing the other as blind to truth. At the heart of this rift stood the forebears of Adaman and Irida, whose unyielding convictions ignited the cycle of religious conflict that would echo through Hisui's history. Adaman's ancestor, a fiery visionary named Doro, strode the diamond camps with a staff topped by a shard of what they swore was the deity's own scale, actually a fragment from Dialga's rift emergence. Doro preached that hesitation was heresy, rallying followers to push boundaries, to survey uncharted blizzards and noble-haunted peaks. Convinced Time's master favoured the daring. His words stirred the young and restless, but sowed seeds of strife when diamond scouts encroached on pearl fishing grounds, claiming the rivers flowed forward under their patron's will. Irida's lineage traced to Mimicry, a serene yet steely matriarch whose pearl devotees whispered of her trance visions, where space folded to reveal ancestral spirits guiding their steps. Mimicry taught that overreach invited distortion, that the great Sinnoh's expanse demanded humility, boundaries respected, migrations paced like the tides. Her followers fortified their coastal holds with woven wards against temporal trespass, and when diamond foragers harvested sacred rift crystals, Mimicry's edict came swift. Embargoes, shadowed warnings from Glacian-like companions patrolling the gloaming. What started as ritual exclusions escalated. Skirmishes over holy sites where the rift's light pooled, chants turning to shouts, then to hurled stones and summoned Pokémon clashes under stormy skies. This schism deepened with each passing season, as the clan's theologies clashed like tectonic plates reformed. Diamond elders inscribed scrolls declaring Pearl reverence as stagnation, a denial of time's inexorable advance, while Pearl shamans carved totems decrying Diamond zeal as spatial violation, ripping at Hisui's woven fabric. Families splintered, lovers parted across divide, villages polarized into bastions of faith. The rift above Coronet, pulsing brighter, seemed to fuel the fury, frenzied Pokémon mirroring human discord, stampeding through contested meadows, their eyes aglow with misunderstood power. Yet beneath the animosity lingered a shared awe for the great Sinnoh's majesty. A tragic irony as Dialga and Palkia, mere stewards of Arceus' grand design, were exalted to godhood, their primal clashes in the rift interpreted as divine wrath against the unworthy faction. Adaman and Irida's ancestors, Doro and Mimicry, met once at neutral Earth, under truce banners fluttering in rift winds to parley peace, but words failed. Doro invoked time's arrow-piercing illusionary vastness. Mimicry countered with space's embrace, swallowing fleeting moments. They parted with curses, their heirs inheriting not just creeds, but vendettas etched in blood and belief. Generations later, as Adaman led diamonds with impulsive fire and Irida guided pearls with cautious grace, the cycle persisted. Raids on supply lines, sabotaged rituals, fragile alliances shattered by doctrinal slights. The land bore scars, charred shrine stones on diamond hills, driftwood effigies adrift from pearl shores. Still, in quiet moments, elders from both sides gazed at the rift, wondering if the great Sinnoh wept for its fractured children, its true form. Arceus slumbering beyond, untouched by mortal squabbles. Through this veil of faith's fracture, faint lights began to stir in Hisui's wilds. 10 Pokémon touched by plates of origin ore, their forms evolving under the fount's lingering grace. In the next chapter, the 10 noble beneficiaries will uncover how these exalted beings wove into the clan's fates, guarding secrets that could mend or doom the schism forever. As the Diamond and Pearl clans carved their divide deeper into the soul of Hisui, mistaking glimpses of Dialga and Palkia for the face of the great Sinnoh itself, a profound silence fell over the land. Arceus, ever watchful from its distant vigil, sensed the fragility of this newborn world. The early settlers' fires flickered against endless nights, while Pokémon roamed fierce and unbound, their instincts clashing with human ambition. To anchor harmony amid such tension, Arceus bestows its divine plates upon 10 specific Pokémon lineages, elevating them as pillars of stability. These plates, shimmering relics forged from the very dawn of creation, served as fragments of Arceus's own primordial power, each one pulsed with the raw essence of a type: fire's searing fury, water's relentless flow, the electric storm's wild crackle, imbued directly from the original one's 1,000 arms. Imagine the moment of bestowal. High on jagged peaks, or deep in mist-shrouded valleys, a selected Pokémon feels the heavens part. A radiant light descends, not as judgment, but as gift. The air thickens with ozone and earth scent, the ground trembling faintly as the plate embeds into flesh and spirit alike. The recipient's body evolves, scales hardening, claws sharpening, eyes igniting with otherworldly gleam. No longer mere beasts, these Pokémon ascend as nobles, their bloodlines forever marked, destined to guard territories and command respect from kin. In the obsidian fieldlands, where rivers carve stone like forgotten prophecies, the first lineage rises. Claver, the wielder of massive shears that slice boulders as if they were silk. Its plate, the stone plate, grounds earthquakes into submission, channeling Arceus's unyielding foundation. Farther into the crimson mylands, damp with eternal fog and the chorus of hidden springs, Hisuian Lilligant sways, her petal dance now a tempest of razor leaves, empowered by the meadow plate. She dances not for beauty alone, but to purify poisoned airs rising from fractured earth. Across the sun-baked cobalt coastlands, waves crashing like thunderous applause, Hisuian Arcanine bounds with flames that warm rather than scorch, its flame plate a beacon against encroaching shadows. In the Coronet Highlands' veiled heights, where clouds cling to peaks like secrets, Electrode pulses with the Zap plate's frenzy, its rolls stabilizing storms that could unravel the sky. The Alabaster Iceland's frozen wastes birth Avalug, the icicle plate encasing it in armor that defies blizzards, a living glacier watching over nomadic herds. Deeper still, in the swampy heart of the Crimson Myland shadows, Hisuian Gudra emerges, its Draco plate weaving protective slime barriers that heal wounds and bind fractured alliances. The moonlit glades of the obsidian fieldlands conceal Hisuian Zoroark, master of illusions via the dread plate, its ghostly mirages shielding sacred groves from intruders. Scaling sheer cliffs in the Coronet Highlands, Sneasler strikes with poison plate venom, a swift enforcer purging corruption from high paths. The Cobalt Coastland's briny depths yield Overquill, its venom plate fueling barrages that repel seafaring threats. And soaring above the vast plains, Hisuian bravery claims the sky plate, its wings slicing gales to herald dawns unmarred by rift-born chaos. These nobles did not stand alone. Their ascension drew the clan's gaze. Humans who had long revered the wild from afar, whispers spread through campsites under starlit skies. The heavenly fount had spoken through living guardians, to safeguard these exalted bloodlines from poachers, rivalries, or the subtle corruptions seeping from space-time rifts. The establishment of the Wardens to protect these noble bloodlines took root. Chosen from the clan's most devoted, Wardens forged unbreakable bonds, living as shadows to their charges. Take Sabby of the Diamond clan, her clairvoyant dreams guiding her to the windswept Aeries of Hisuian Braviary, where she communes through shared flights over endless horizons. Garrick, the Pearl clan's steadfast guardian, mirrors Avalug's icy resolve in the frozen tundras, his training regimens echoing the Colossus's unyielding stance. Arizu tends Hisuian Lilligant with ritual dances in the mires, her voice a lullaby against frenzy's pull. Isken dives with Electrode through highland caves, his nets woven from rift-touched kelp to contain explosive tempers. Melia tends Hisui and Gudra in humid hollows, his bravado masking a deep empathy for the dragon's nurturing heart. Lian stands resolute before Avalug's chill throne, while others like the enigmatic watchers over Cleaver, Arcanine, Zoroark, Sneasler and Overquill embody the clan's unity in purpose, despite their theological rifts. These wardens patrolled territories, offering incense from sacred herbs, chanting ancient hymns to reinforce the plate's glow. They quelled minor frenzies before they spread, their Pokémon partners, Leafian for Adaman, Glaceon for Arida, symbolizing the bridge between noble and human. Yet even this vigilant web couldn't foresee every tremor from the rifts, where evil lightning began to twist the noble's divine gifts into something feral. Through countless cycles of monsoon and frost, the 10 nobles held Hisui's wild pulse steady, their plates humming like distant stars. The warden's fires burned through nights of doubt, tales of their exploits etched into cave walls slick with dew, but whispers grew of a deeper summons, a melody that could pierce Arceus' slumber and call it forth in full glory. Up next in Chapter 10, the azure flute and the call, where a single instrument holds the key to awakening the original one itself. Will it harmonize salvation or unleash cosmic reckoning? Chapter 10, the azure flute and the call. With the wardens standing vigilant over the noble bloodlines, their plates shimmering like captured fragments of the stars, humanity in ancient Hisui began to yearn for something more direct. The divine touch that had empowered those 10 Pokémon felt distant now, a whisper echoing from the peaks of Mount Coronet. Early settlers, huddled in their fragile clans, gazed skyward during the long nights, wondering if the original one could ever hear their pleas amid the vast silence of creation. It was in this fragile moment of longing that the azure flute first emerged, forged not by mortal hands, but as a bridge between the mortal and divine. Legends whisper that Arceus itself shaped it from a shard of pure origin ore, the same luminous essence that pulsed at the heart of the heavenly fount. This flute, azure as the deepest ocean trenches where light dares not linger, held within its hollow core the resonant frequency of the universe's birth. When played, its notes didn't merely vibrate the air. They sliced through the fabric of reality, carrying the player's soul's song straight to the Hall of Origin, that ethereal realm beyond time where Arceus slumbered in eternal meditation. Picture the first time it sang, though no eyes witnessed it fully. A lone shaman of the proto-clans, perched on a windswept crag overlooking the churning sea, lifted the flute to trembling lips. The sound that poured forth was no ordinary melody. It was a cascade of ethereal tones, rising like mist from a hidden spring, each note weaving threads of light that pierced the veil. In that instant, the air grew thick with the scent of ozone and ancient stone, and visions flooded the shaman's mind. Glimpses of Arceus' 1,000 arms unfurling across the void, the eggs of the creation trio hatching in golden glows. The flute wasn't just an instrument. It was a key, unlocking communion with the divine architect who had retreated from the world. Word of this miracle spread like wildfire through the mist-shrouded valleys of Hisui, drawing together the wisest elders from scattered tribes. They gathered under the full moon's gaze, their fires casting flickering shadows on rune-carved boulders, and pieced together the lost rituals used by ancient civilizations to communicate with the Hall of Origin. These weren't hasty chants, but intricate ceremonies honed over generations, passed down in oral tapestries of song and symbol. The ritual began at dawn, as the first light kissed Mount Coronet, with the flute player purifying themselves in sacred springs fed by origin ore veins. Waters that tingled against the skin like liquid starlight, washing away doubts and earthly tethers. Clad in robes woven from the iridescent feathers of spectral Pokémon, the ritualists formed a circle around a central altar of polished obsidian, etched with spirals, mimicking the chaos from which Arceus arose. Offerings of rare berries, crystals humming with latent energy, and locks of hair from noble lineages were placed at its heart, symbolizing the harmony of will, emotion, and knowledge granted by the late guardians. As the sun climbed, the lead musician raised the azure flute, and the playing commenced in phases. The first movement, slow and undulating, evoked the primordial egg's gentle cracking, summoning echoes of Dialga's ticking heartbeats and Palkia's expansive breaths. Listeners felt time stretch, space fold inward, their breaths sinking to an otherworldly rhythm that made the ground beneath them pulse like a living thing. Then came the second phase, a crescendo of spiraling trills that mimicked Giratina's distorted wails from the shadows. Bridging the light and dark, the air shimmered, rift-like tears flickering at the circle's edges, through which faint silhouettes of the Hall of Origin appeared. Towering spires of pure energy, Arceus's form a radiant silhouette amid swirling nebulae. Communicants spoke their queries here, voices amplified 1,000-fold, pleading for guidance on frenzied nobles or clan disputes. Answers came not in words but in profound visions. Floods of knowledge from Uxie, surges of emotion from Mespri, iron wills from Azelf, all filtered through Arceus's infinite wisdom. One elder recalled receiving a directive to realign a noble's plate during a frenzy, the flute's call pulling the beast back from madness as if Arceus itself had reached down. These rituals bound communities closer, fostering a fragile peace between the emerging Diamond and Pearl clans, before their schism deepened. Yet such power came laced with peril. The flute's song grew addictive, its divine echoes lingering in the player's dreams, blurring the line between mortal frailty and godly eternity. Ambitious souls began experimenting, twisting melodies to demand favors, endless harvests, victory in skirmishes, even glimpses of the original one's full awakening. The cosmic balance teetered. Each unchecked call risked rippling distortions, much like the rifts that would later scar the skies. Arceus, ever watchful from its distant hall, sensed the growing hubris. Visions flooded the most attuned wardens, the flute's azure glow fracturing under greedy hands, unleashing tempests that could unravel Dialga's timelines or Palkia's expanses. To safeguard the delicate weave of creation, the original one commanded its concealment. In a final solemn ritual atop Mount Coronet's hidden pinnacle, the last guardian, a figure shrouded in myth, perhaps an ancestor of the Wardens, played a sealing dirge. The notes wove a shroud of invisibility around the flute, spiriting it away to an undisclosed vault deep within the earth, warded by ancient mechanisms attuned to Arceus's plates. It was hidden away to prevent human interference with the cosmic balance, ensuring that only the purest hearts, in the direst hours, might rediscover its call. No map marked its resting place. Only the stars' alignment and a warden's bloodline could whisper its location. Generations passed, the flute fading into legend, its rituals reduced to half-remembered folk songs sung by campfires. Yet its echo lingered in the clan's prayers, a reminder that the divine ear remained open, if only mortals proved worthy. Whispers persist even now, among those who study the old tomes, that the flute awaits a reckoning, a time when the veil thins once more, and that reckoning draws nearer as the fragile peace frays under unnatural skies. In our next chapter, Chapter 11, the space-time rift opens. You'll witness the cataclysm that forces even the hidden relics toward revelation, pulling Hisui into chaos no ritual could foresee. Stay with me as the rift tears wide. Before we dive deeper into this incredible journey, I'm curious. Where in the world are you watching this from? Drop a comment below and let our global community know. And if you're finding this as mind-blowing as I am, hit that like button to help more people discover this story. Those ancient rituals, with their haunting melodies from the azure flute, had once bridged the mortal world to the Hall of Origin, whispering pleas to Arceus for guidance. But as generations passed in Hisui, the flute's song grew faint, its carvings weathered by relentless winds sweeping across Mount Coronet. The people of the Diamond and Pearl clans turned inward, their faith splintered between the relentless march of time and the boundless expanse of space. They built shrines at the mountain's base, etching prayers into jagged stone, hoping to recapture that divine ear. Yet the heavens remained silent, and beneath the surface of fragile harmony, something vast and uncontrollable stirred. High above the jagged peaks of Mount Coronet, where the air thinned to a razor-sharp chill, the first signs emerged on a night when the stars seemed to hold their breath. The sky, usually a vast canopy of indifferent black, began to warp. Colours bled unnaturally, purples twisting into sickly greens, threads of crimson weaving through like veins, pulsing with forbidden life. The wardens, those steadfast guardians of the noble bloodlines, first noticed it during their vigils. Garrick of the Pearl clan, his massive frame silhouetted against the glow, gripped his spear tighter, muttering about omens from the endless void. Sabi, the young Diamond clan seer with her Hisuian bravery perched nearby, felt visions flicker in her mind like shattered glass, fractures in reality itself. Then it happened. A violent tear appears in the sky above Mount Coronet, bleeding energy, not a gradual crack, but a savage rip, as if the fabric of the universe had been clawed open by unseen talons. Jagged edges frayed outward, spewing torrents of raw, iridescent power that cascaded downward in slow, mesmerizing waves. The energy hummed with a low, bone-deep thrum, vibrating through the earth, causing boulders to tremble and rivers to churn backward. Witnesses below, settlers huddled in their camps, clan leaders like Adaman and Irida, raising their eyes in awe and dread, described it as the wound of a god, oozing the essence of creation gone wrong. Plates of light peeled away from the rift's borders, flickering with echoes of Arceus's 1,000 arms, yet corrupted, twisted into something hungry and alien. This was no mere storm or celestial display. The tear pulsed rhythmically, drawing in nearby clouds and spitting them out distorted, as if space itself recoiled. Animals fled the foothills, their cries a cacophony that drowned out the warden's frantic signals. The Diamond clan's impulsive rituals clashed with the Pearl clan's cautious chants, both sides accusing the other of invoking the wrong deity. Dialga's unyielding clock or Palkia's infinite sea, but the rift cared for none of it. Its energy seeped into the winds, tainting the air with a metallic tang, like blood mixed with lightning. Mount Coronet, that sacred nexus of the heavenly fount's power, now stood as ground zero for chaos unbound. From within this gaping maw descended the harbinger of ruin, the evil lightning. Bolts unlike any born of natural fury plunged earthward, not in erratic forks, but targeted, deliberate spears of obsidian black plasma veined with the rift's bleeding glow. They asked with malevolent precision, ignoring the terrified humans below and seeking out the noble Pokémon, those blessed beneficiaries of Arceus's plates. First struck clever, the Warden Garrick's charge in the obsidian heathlands, its massive scythe arms twitching as the lightning impaled its rocky form. The air crackled with otherworldly static, the impact sending shockwaves that uprooted ancient pines. Warden Arizu watched in horror from afar, her involvement in the Lilligant poisoning still fresh in whispers, now overshadowed by this true calamity. One by one the strikes fell. Hisui and Lilligant convulsed in the crimson mire, petals wilting black under the onslaught. Avalugg shattered ice fields as the bolt pierced its glacial hide. Noble forces revered as protectors, sibyls of Arceus's favour tended by wardens across Hisui's wilds, now bore the mark of corruption. The evil lightning didn't merely wound, it infused, rewriting their very essence with the rift's unstable power. Screams echoed that were half roar, half scream, as the noble's eyes glowed with rift-born madness. The descent continued relentlessly, a barrage from the tier above, each bolt amplifying the growing dissonance rippling through the land. And with those strikes came the transformation of the nobles from protectors into frenzied, destructive forces. What had been majestic sentinels turned feral in heartbeats. Clever's scythes, once wielded in graceful defense of its territory, now slashed indiscriminately, carving canyons through clan outposts. Lilligant unleashed pollen storms laced with rift energy, driving humans to hallucinatory terror, their minds fracturing like the sky itself. Avalugg rampaged across frozen tundras, its body surging with unnatural growth, crushing everything in avalanches of warped ice. The wardens fought desperately, Sabi commanding her breviary to dive and distract, Garrick hurling himself at the beasts he once revered. But the nobles were unstoppable, their plates pulsing with inverted power, turning Arceus's blessings into curses. Panic spread like wildfire through Hisui. The Diamond Clan blamed Palkia's spatial meddling, their leader Adaman rallying warriors with cries of temporal imbalance. Irida's Pearl Clan saw Dialga's wrath, fortifying their vast domain shrines against the encroaching frenzy. Villages emptied, Pokémon wild and domestic alike fleeing the nobles' paths of destruction. The rift above widened imperceptibly with each frenzy, as if feeding on the chaos, its bleeding energy now staining the clouds' permanent hues of bruise and fire. Whispers among survivors spoke of the original one's abandonment, the heavenly fount poisoned at its source. Yet amid the devastation, faint anomalies flickered, the distortions in the air near the rift, hints of figures or forms pulled from elsewhere, as if the tear summoned not just ruin, but intervention. The frenzies raged unchecked, reshaping Hisui's fragile coexistence into a battlefield of myth and survival. Wardens like Arceus sought desperate alliances between clans, their old rivalries paling against this cosmic assault. Mount Coronet loomed as both epicenter and enigma, its peaks now wreathed in perpetual storm. But even as the nobles tore through the land, a new presence began to emerge from the rift's depths, drawn across time and space to confront the unraveling order. In Chapter 12, The Stranger from the Future, you'll discover who answers this call, stepping into Hisui's darkest hour with tools from an age yet to come. What impossible journey awaits them at the heart of the storm, as the evil lightning cascades from the rift, searing the skies above Mount Coronet. The noble Pokémon writhe in agony across Hisui's jagged peaks and shadowed valleys. Their eyes glow with unnatural fury, bodies twisting as if the land itself rejects them. Alphas rampage through villages, uprooting ancient cedars and scattering terrified settlers like leaves in a gale. The wardens rally, their cries echoing through the night. But the frenzy spread unchecked, a plague born of the cosmos unraveling at the seams. In this moment of unraveling equilibrium, Arceus stirs from its eternal vigil. The original one, that boundless force cradled in the Hall of Origin, senses the distortion piercing its carefully woven tapestry. Time bends not just in the rift, but across epochs as Arceus extends its will, 1,000 arms unseen, threading through the fabric of eras. From the bustling streets of a distant future, where steel towers pierce smog-veiled horizons and handheld devices hum with captured knowledge, it plucks a soul adrift. You, an ordinary wanderer in that modern age, feel the world dissolve in a vortex of light. The ground vanishes beneath your feet, replaced by a howling void where stars streak like comet tails and whispers of primordial chaos brush your skin like frost. You tumble through the veil, the air thickening with the scent of pine resin and volcanic earth, until Hisui materializes in a rush of color and clamor. The Galaxy Team's outpost looms ahead, its wooden beams creaking under lantern glow, as Commander Kamado's stern gaze meets your disoriented form. Whispers ripple among the survey corps, a stranger from beyond the rift, bearing a relic that pulses with otherworldly light. That relic, your arc phone, gleams in your palm, not mere mortal craft, but a divine conduit forged in the fires of creation's dawn. Arceus has not abandoned its realm. It has armed this emissary with a tool to pierce the veil of ignorance, cataloguing every Pokémon's essence, their cries, their forms, their hidden strengths. To the core, it's no ordinary device. It's the heavenly fount's own ledger, a mirror of Arceus's infinite plates, etching the world's balance into data that defies the era's crude scrolls. Laventon, the bespectacled scholar with ink-stained fingers, marvels at it first, his breath catching as the screen flickers to life. Entries bloom like sacred glyphs, Bidoof's sturdy hide, Starly's piercing call, even the elusive Spiritom's swirling grudge. This arc phone doesn't just record, It communes, drawing from Arceus' essence to reveal habitats, weaknesses, evolutions, secrets buried since the egg's first crack. The Survey Corps, those tireless wanderers, charting Hisui's wilds amid clan skirmishes and beastly threats, now wield a weapon against oblivion, no longer blind scribes tallying shadows. With this, they map the divine order. Each capture a step toward mending the rift's wound. Your mission crystallizes in the commander's chamber, flames dancing in the hearth as maps unfurl across rough-hewn tables. Seek out all Pokémon, from the tiniest Cricketot skittering through dew-kissed grasses to the colossal alphas thundering across obsidian plains. Observe them in their raw splendor, befriend the wary, battle the feral, and through the Arcphone's glow, complete the great survey. But this is no mere collection. Its restoration. The frenzies stem from imbalance, the rift's chaos echoing the ancient schism when Dialga and Palkia clashed in their embryonic fury. By cataloguing every species, you realign the threads. Knowledge as the counterweight to distortion, emotion tamed by willpower, the late guardian's gifts amplified through your hand. Arceus has chosen you not for strength alone, but for the future's clarity, a bridge to heal what the clan's divided faiths have fractured. Days blur into nights of peril and wonder. You scale jagged obsidian fields where Magmortar's flames lick the horizon. Ford mist-shrouded rivers teeming with Basculin's silver flashes, and delve into moonlit caves where Graveler's boulders rumble like distant thunder. The Arcphone hums warmer with each entry, its light a beacon drawing wary Pokémon from hiding. Wardens like Sabi, astride her spectral Hisuian bravery, share guarded nods as you quell a frenzied noble, the Lilligant Warden Arezazu's poisoned blooms withering under your precise strikes. Yet whispers grow among the Diamond Clan, their time-obsessed rituals clashing with your otherworldly methods. Adaman's impulsive gaze lingers, questioning if this stranger truly serves the great Sinnoh. Tensions simmer as the rift pulses wider, spewing anomalies that warp the land. Floating isles, reversed rivers, echoes of battles yet unfought. Your surveys uncover patterns. The evil lightning favors the nobles blessed by plates, twisting their Arceus-given might into rage. With every Pokédex page filled, balance inches closer. Pokémon approach not in fear but curiosity, their forms stabilizing as if the original one watches through your lens. The Pearl Clan's cautious reverence meets you in frozen tundras, Irida's Glaceon at her side, pondering your device's space-defying precision. But as you press toward Mount Coronet, the heart of the storm, the Diamond Clan's fervor boils over. Their temporal dogma, rooted in visions of an eternal clockwork deity, views your arrival as heresy or salvation. What secrets do they guard about Dialga's roar, echoing through time's corridors? Find out in Chapter 13, the Diamond Clan's temporal dogma, where faith collides with the future in ways that will reshape Hisui forever. As the Survey Corps fans out across Hisui's rugged wilds, clutching that strange Arcphone like a lifeline from the heavens, they stumble into the heart of the Diamond Clan's territory. These are no timid settlers. They're a people forged in motion, their camps pitched on windswept plateaus, where the air hums with the ceaseless tick of unseen clocks. At their helm stands Adaman, a leader whose eyes burn with the fire of tomorrow, his Lefian partner padding silently beside him, leaves rustling like pages turning in an endless book. Adaman doesn't whisper prayers to the past, or chase shadows of what might have been. No, he preaches a gospel carved from the raw pulse of now. Time, he declares, isn't a chain dragging us backward. It's a river surging forward, each moment a gift you seize or watch slip through your fingers. Dwell too long on yesterday's regrets, and you'll drown and stagnation. Peer too far into the haze of futures unborn, and you'll miss the only truth that matters. This breath, this step, this heartbeat echoing in the vastness of Hisui. His followers nod in rapt agreement, their rituals simple and urgent, daily gatherings at dawn, where they strike drums in sync with the sun's rise, honouring the flow that propels life onward. Adaman's words cut through the chill mountain air like a blade. Live boldly in the present, for time waits for no one. and in its current lies our strength. This philosophy isn't born from idle thought. It's woven into their very faith, a faith that crowns Dialga as the supreme architect of existence. To the Diamond Clan, Dialga isn't merely the steward of seconds and seasons. It's the original one itself, the deity they call the Sinnoh, mistaken in their fervour for the true fount of creation. They point to its towering form, plated in diamond-hard steel, its chest plate gleaming like a primal heart. When Dialga assumes its origin form, wings unfurling in a radiant echo of ancient power, they see undeniable proof, a silhouette that mirrors the myths of the world's birth, a being who spun the threads of eternity from nothingness. High priests etch murals on cave walls, depicting Dialga's raw birthing stars and summoning the first rains, their chants rising like smoke. Almighty Dialga, who measured the first tick and set the cosmos in motion, we offer our now to your eternal flow. Offerings pile at makeshift altars, crystals plucked from riverbeds, hourglasses filled with Hisui's black sand, each a plea for the deity's favour in their impulsive charge toward destiny. Yet reverence breeds its own shadows. The space-time rift, that jagged wound pulsing over Mount Coronet, twists everything it touches. Dialga's influence, once a steady current, grows wild and fitful, like a storm-lashed tide crashing without rhythm. Nobles under the clan's watch begin to falter, their eyes glaze with unnatural fury, bodies convulsing as evil lightning arcs from the tear in the sky. Adamant paces his command tent, brow furrowed, as reports flood in, Lilligant thrashing in poisoned frenzy, Hisui and Avalug rampaging through valleys that once knew peace. The clan's seers murmur of Dialga's wrath, a test of their devotion, but doubt creeps in like frost on steel. Why would the Creator unleash such chaos? Scouts whisper of erratic time slips, flowers blooming in reverse, warriors aging a lifetime in a single night. The rivers flow stuttering backward before surging ahead with vengeful force. You can feel the tension coiling in their ranks, a people who worship momentum now gripped by its unravelling. Adaman rallies them with speeches that echo off sheer cliffs, urging faith in the present. Even as the rift's glow bathes their world in sickly light, Dialga tests us. He booms, fist clenched, to prove we can ride the storm of time itself. But privately, he confides in trusted wardens like Sabi, the clairvoyant girl who rides her Hisuian bravery into visions of fractured clocks. Her dreams paint Dialga not as serene sovereign, but a colossal shadow thrashing against invisible bonds, its roars warping the air into echoes of primordial chaos. The Survey Corps' arrival only sharpens the divide. That stranger from beyond time, armed with the Arcphone's otherworldly glow, draws wary eyes from Diamond Sentinels. Adaman eyes the device with a mix of suspicion and hunger. Could it be a fragment of Dialga's own power? A tool to harmonize the faltering flow? Missions to quell frenzied nobles turn into uneasy alliances, the clan's impulsive drive clashing with the Corps' methodical surveys. Through it all, the rift widens, Dialga's erratic pulses sending shudders through Hisui's bones, hours stretching into days, then snapping back in disorienting bursts. Villagers huddle under tarps that flap like broken wings, children counting heartbeats to mark the slipping seconds. Deeper into their lore, the Diamond Clan's texts, scratched on hides cured by Leafeon's sap, recount visions of Dialga's awakening. They speak of a diamond egg cracking open amid thunderous gears, birthing not just time, but the very fabric of being. This mistaken identity fuels their schism with the Pearl Clan, those space-bound traditionalists who see only a pretender to the throne. Adaman laughs off their caution, calling it chains on the soul, but as rifts spawn phantom echoes, ghostly herds of spectral Pokémon flickering in and out, the laughter fades. Wardens like Garrick, on loan from Pearl allies, flex their doubts openly, muscles straining against the weight of unseen tempests. In these darkening hours, Adaman's philosophy shines brightest, a beacon against the chaos. Embrace the now, he insists, even if it fractures around you. Forge ahead through the stutter of eternity, where in time's wild heart lies the path to Dialga's true grace. Yet the erratic surges grow bolder, lightning forking from the rift to strike sacred groves, leaving craters where altars once stood. The clan presses on, drums beating defiant rhythms, but whispers spread. Is Dialga abandoning its worshippers, or calling them to a reckoning? And as the Diamond Clan's temporal fires flicker under the rift's shadow, a contrasting reverence stirs on the horizon. One that gazes not forward through time's rush, but outward into the boundless expanse that cradles it all. Up next in Chapter 14, the Pearl Clan's spatial reverence, where we'll uncover how their cautious worship of Palkia as the cosmic container clashes with this relentless march, pulling Hisui toward an even greater divide, while the Diamond Clan clings to Dialga's unyielding flow of time, urging all to seize the present before it slips away. Their ancient rivals in Hisui turn their eyes not to the ticking moments, but to the boundless expanse that cradles them all. The Pearl Clan, under the steady gaze of their young leader Irida, reveres the sheer immensity of the world itself. A realm so vast it humbles even the mightiest Pokémon, where every corner demands respect for the shared spaces we all inhabit. Irida stands atop the icy crags of the Alabaster Icelands, her Glaceon at her side, fur shimmering like fresh frost under the pale Hisuian sun. She speaks with a voice tempered by the whispering winds that carve through endless tundras, reminding her people that Hisui is no mere patch of earth to conquer, but an infinite tapestry woven by the spatial deity they call Sinnoh. To her, the world unfolds in layers upon layers. Hidden valleys cradled in mountains, frozen seas that stretch to unseen shores, skies that swallow the horizon whole. This vastness isn't a challenge to dominate. It's sacred, a shared domain where humans, Pokémon, and the land breathe as one. Tread lightly, she teaches, where every step echoes across the void, and to encroach on another's space invites chaos into the delicate balance. The Pearl Clan's devotion burns deepest for Palkia, the embodiment of space itself, whom they hail as the true Sinnoh, the creator mistaken by the Diamond Clan for their temporal idol Dialga. In their grand halls of pearl-white stone, etched with swirling motifs of rippling dimensions, elders recount the myths of Palkia's emergence from Arceus's primordial egg, a colossal pearl-hued guardian who stretched the chaos into form. Palkia's pearl-like orbs pulse, with the power to fold realities, to birth new realms from nothingness, and the clan rejects outright the diamond myths of time as supreme. Why worship a river when the ocean holds all rivers? They argue, their voices rising like tides against Adaman's forward charge. Palkia isn't just a god, it's the architect of coexistence, ensuring no one space overwhelms another, no territory claims the whole. You can feel it in the air of their settlements. That reverence for boundaries honoured, Pearl Clan hunters move with deliberate grace across the snowfields, leaving wide berths for were-deer herds to roam unchallenged, their arrows aimed only at what the land freely offers. Children learn from cradle tales how Palkia's breath shapes the auroras that dance overhead, veils between worlds that remind us of our place in the grand design. Irida embodies this, her decisions cautious, her alliances forged only when spaces align without friction. She dismisses the Diamond Clan's impulsive rituals as reckless intrusions, myths that blind them to the spatial harmony Palkia demands. Yet even as they honour this deity, Palkia's influence stirs unrest in Hisui's fragile order. The space-time rift above Mount Coronet yawns wider now, a jagged wound in the sky-bleeding distortions that warp the land below. Fields twist into impossible knots, rivers loop back on themselves, forests compress into dense thickets, where trees overlap like forgotten thoughts. Pokémon, once harmonious with their territories, lash out in frenzy, their noble bloodlines tainted by the evil lightning that streaks from the tear. Palkia's raw power unbound, clashing with Dialga's temporal surges in a cosmic feud spilling into the mortal plane. The Pearl Clan struggles to maintain order amid this upheaval. Wardens like Garrick, a towering figure, more at home, wrestling Hisuian Avalug than debating philosophy, patrol the warped fringes, their muscles straining against landscapes that shift underfoot. One moment a plateau stands firm, The next it folds inward, swallowing patrols whole. Irida dispatches scouts to map these anomalies. Their maps redrawn nightly as paths vanish and re-emerge leagues away. Noble Pokémon, blessed by Arceus' plates, succumb hardest. Imagine the majestic Lord Avalugg, guardian of icy domains, rampaging as its territory crumples, shards of space-time embedding in its crystalline hide like shattered mirrors. Irida rallies her people with quiet resolve, performing rites at ancient pearl altars where they offer shimmering scales to appease Palkia. Chants rise soft against the howling gales. Holder of space, binder of bounds, restore the weave we all share, but the warps persist. Canyons yawn open beneath camps, swallowing supplies. Mirages of distant realms flicker, luring the unwary into voids. The clan fortifies their borders with spatial wards, rings of pearl-embedded stakes that hum with borrowed power, holding back the distortions just long enough for merchants to pass. Tension simmers with the Diamond Clan, accusations flying that their time worship provokes Palkia's ire. Yet Irida seeks fragile unity, knowing the vastness demands cooperation, not conquest. Deep in the night, as auroras twist unnaturally from the rift's influence, Irida gazes upward, her breath fogging the air. She senses Palkia's gaze upon Hisui, not as wrath, but as a call to revere the spaces we share before they unravel completely. The Pearl Clan's faith steels them against the chaos, their rejection of rival myths a shield of conviction, but whispers spread of a greater hand at play, one weaving treachery from the shadows. As the distortions intensify, a figure emerges whose ambitions threaten to shatter not just space, but the very myths holding Hisui together. That's the heart of Chapter 15, The Treachery of Volo, where hidden motives unravel everything we've explored so far. What drives this merchant of mysteries to such desperate ends? Stay with me to uncover it all, as the Pearl Clan clings to their vision of Palkia as the vast architect of all space, dismissing the Diamond Clan's temporal fervour as short-sighted folly. A shadow moves unseen among the fractious groups of Hisui. Volo, the enigmatic merchant of the Ginkgo Guild, trades in rare wares and whispered rumours, his smile as polished as the origin ore he peddles. You've encountered him often on your surveys. His offers of guidance always laced with an undercurrent of fervour that lingers like mist over obsidian fieldlands. But peel back those layers, and you uncover the revelation of Volo's obsession with the original one, Arceus itself, and a profound disillusionment with the world's inherent flaws. To him, Hisui is no cradle of harmony but a fractured tapestry, woven with threads of suffering that no clan ritual or noble Pokémon can mend. He pores over ancient plates under lantern light, tracing the etchings that speak of creation's dawn, convinced that the original one abandoned its handiwork to rot. Pokémon frenzies tear through herds, humans feud over divine interpretations, and the space-time rift spews distortions that warp the very air. Proof, in Volo's eyes, of a reality riddled with imperfections, a divine mistake begging for correction. This fixation doesn't bloom in isolation. Volo's lineage traces back to the ancient peoples who once communed directly with the gods. Before the clan splintered and forgot their true heritage, he carries scrolls brittle as autumn leaves, detailing how those forebears built the Temple of Sinnoh, not as a mere shrine, but as a conduit to summon the Creator. Yet calamity struck them. Whispers hint at a cataclysmic betrayal, perhaps tied to the rift's first tears, where their hubris invited ruin. Loved ones lost to frenzy-driven beasts, villages swallowed by spatial folds, a world that offered no mercy. This tragic backstory ignites Volo's desire to unmake and rewrite reality entirely, to seize the reins of creation and forge a flawless cosmos where such pain never echoes again. You sense it in his sidelong glances during Galaxy Team gatherings, the way his fingers twitch toward the celestial map in his satchel. He aids your quest not out of altruism, but to position you as the unwitting catalyst, quelling the nobles and stabilizing the rift just enough to channel its chaos toward a greater purpose. Volo dreams of confronting Arceus, not in reverence but in judgment, for leaving the world to fester for birthing Dialga and Palkia, whose endless clashes birth more rifts, for exiling Giratina, whose resentment festers in the shadows. And there, in the depths of that exile, lies the key to his gambit. Volo's secret alliance with Giratina, the renegade Pokémon of distortion and antimatter, banished to its inverted realm for defying the natural order. Giratina, born from the same primordial egg as its siblings yet twisted into opposition, harbours a grudge as vast as the distortion world itself. Endless grey spires, piercing a sky of fractured geometry, where gravity bends and echoes mock the living. Volo reaches across that veil through forbidden rites, perhaps etching Giratina's grim emblem into origin ore fragments, promising mutual vengeance. Together, they scheme to force Arceus out of hiding, ripping open the fabric of Hisui to drag the original one into the fray. Picture the merchant alone at dawn on the slopes of Mount Coronet, the rift pulsing overhead like a wounded heart, its edges fraying into violet lightning that singes the snow. He chants in a tongue forgotten by the wardens, invoking Giratina's wrath to amplify the chaos, turning the noble frenzies into a symphony of destruction. The Diamond and Pearl clans as mistaken worships, mere distractions, your surveys, steps in his intricate trap. Every plate you've gathered unknowingly fuels his altar, drawing Arceus nearer, closer, until the heavens themselves shudder. Volo's voice, when it finally breaks in the temple's gloom, carries the weight of generations scorned. He rails against the original one's indifference, the flaws etched into every blade of grass and fleeting human joy, the impermanence of bonds shattered by time's arrow, the isolation of souls adrift in endless space. His alliance with Giratina isn't born of madness, but cold logic. The distortion dragon, outcast and seething, becomes the perfect foil to shatter Arceus' slumber, compelling the creator to manifest and face its failures. As the rift widens and shadows coalesce, Volo steps from the guise of ally into betrayer, his eyes alight with the fire of remaking. The air thickens with antimatter's chill, Giratina's silhouette bleeding through from its realm, wings like shattered mirrors reflecting 1,000 broken worlds. This is no mere villainy, but a philosopher's crusade, forged in loss and aimed at the heart of existence. What unfolds next at the Temple of Sinnoh will test every thread of the cosmic weave, pitting mortal will against divine fury in a clash that echoes through time itself. Chapter 16. The battle at the Temple of Sinnoh awaits, where loyalties shatter and the original one's shadow finally descends. With Volo's dark pact with Giratina now exposed, his burning desire to drag the original one into the open threatens to unravel everything Arceus ever created. The air thickens with distortion as space-time rifts pulse wildly across Hisui, their jagged edges spilling crimson light that warps the ground beneath your feet. You, the protagonist pulled from a distant future by Arceus itself, feel the weight of that divine summons pulling you upward, toward the fog-shrouded peak of Mount Coronet, where the Temple of Sinnoh waits like a forgotten altar to the stars. The ascent begins at dawn, when the mountain's jagged spires claw at the paling sky, their surfaces slick with eternal mist that clings to your skin like a cold warning. Winds howl through narrow passes, carrying echoes of ancient chants from the Diamond and Pearl clans below. Adaman's fervent cries for Dialga's timeless guidance, Irida's hushed reverence for Palkia's boundless expanse. You've earned their fragile alliance through trials that tested every bond between human and Pokémon, quelling the noble frenzies that tore at Hisui's heart. Now they press sacred relics into your hands, fragments of shimmering origin ore, harvested from the Celestica Trail's hidden veins, glowing with the raw essence of Arceus, the original one. This ore, born from the same chaos that birthed the universe, pulses with bits of every type, a conduit for creation itself. Step by grueling step, you climb higher, your Pokémon at your side, partners forged in the fires of survival, their eyes reflecting the rift's unnatural glow. The path narrows to a knife's edge, where loose shale crumbles away into abyssal drops and the air grows thin, laced with the metallic tang of unraveling reality. Thunder rumbles not from clouds, but from the mountain's core, as if Dialga's heartbeat syncs with the stone. Volo waits at the summit, his silhouette twisted against the vortex, swirling above the temple, a grand ruin of weathered pillars, etched with primordial runes that hum with forbidden power. He laughs into the gale, his voice cutting like shattered glass, declaring this the dawn of a perfected world, free from the original one's flawed design. But you press on, reaching the temple's threshold where the ground trembles underfoot. Inside, the air stills to an oppressive hush, broken only by the drip of condensation from vaulted ceilings lost in shadow. Volo reveals his hand, a twisted replica of the red chain, forged in secrecy to bind the creation trio. Yet you counter with the true artifacts, born of unity. Back in Jubilife Village, under the Galaxy team's watchful eyes, the master blacksmith, guided by Adaman and Arida's ancient knowledge, hammered the origin ore into perfection. Heated in forges fueled by sacred flames, the ore yielded first to the red chain, its links gleaming blood red, infused with Dialga's temporal steel and Palkia's spatial void, strong enough to leash gods themselves. From the remaining fragments, they shaped the origin ball, a sphere of captured starlight and divine alloy, pulsing with Arceus's will, designed not to conquer, but to harmonize the chaos threatening to consume all. Volo sneers at your defiance, but the rifts above convulse, tearing wider as he chants words pulled from Giratina's distorted whispers. The temple floor cracks open, spewing arcs of energy that bend light into impossible angles. Then it happens, the summoning of Dialga and Palkia in their terrifying origin forms. Dialga erupts first, a colossal behemoth of burnished steel and diamond prisms, its body elongated into a serpentine fury, chest plate blazing like a newborn sun. Every movement rippling time itself into frozen echoes, roars backward through seconds, rewinding breaths in your lungs, as its origin form channels Arceus's primal might, armored plates shifting like the original one's 1,000 arms. Palkia follows in a burst of pearlescent void, its form stretched to ethereal heights, fins slicing space into portals that swallow stone and spit it out miles away, its pearl core fracturing reality with gravitational screams. These are no mere legends. They are apocalypse incarnate, clashing immediately in a storm of temporal ashes and spatial rends, the temple shaking as their battle threatens to fold Hisui into oblivion. You stand firm amid the maelstrom, red chain in one hand, origin ball in the other, your Pokémon roaring defiant. Dialga's claws rake furrows through eons, aging granite to dust in an instant. Palkia's maw exhales vacuums that crush air from your chest. Volo urges them onward, his eyes wild with remade world visions, but the chain's divine links snap taut, binding their rampage not in submission, but in balance. The air fills with the scent of ozone and eternity, sparks of origin energy dancing like fireflies born from God's fury. Strikes land in slow motion, roar of time halting the world in amber stasis, spatial rend folding dimensions into bleeding wounds. Yet you weave through, commanding counters that echo Arceus's unyielding authority. The temple's pillars groan, runes igniting in golden fire as the clash peaks, reality fraying at the edges, stars visible through tears in the sky. Exhaustion claws at you, but the tide turns when the red chain glows blindingly, sinking the duo's powers into a fragile equilibrium. Dialga's gaze softens from primal rage. Palkia's form stabilizes, their origin might redirect it against Volo's crumbling illusions. He falters, the weight of his betrayal crashing down, but Giratina's shadow lingers in the rifts, a deeper darkness uncoiling. As the temple quits, the immediate threat ebbs, yet the true reckoning awaits. What role does the renegade Pokémon play in this cosmic unraveling? And can even it find redemption amid the ruins? We'll uncover that in Chapter 17. Giratina's redemption and defeat, with Dialga and Palkia towering in their origin forms, their bodies shimmering like fractured stars against the stormy skies of Mount Coronet. The Temple of Sinnoh trembles under the weight of colliding time and space. You stand there, your Pokémon at your side, the air thick with the metallic tang of rift energy, As Volo's laughter echoes off the ancient stone walls. He's not done yet. Not by a long shot. Volo steps into the flickering light of the altar, his eyes wild with a fervour that's been building since the moment he revealed his true face. This merchant from another time, descendant of the ancient clan founders, has orchestrated everything. The frenzies, the rifts, the divisions between Diamond and Pearl, all to lure the original one here. But first he unleashes his own team, a rogue assembly of Pokémon twisted by the distortion, leaking from the growing tear in reality. His Amber Palm lashes out with hyperspeed strikes. His Roserade scatters toxic thorns that writhe like living shadows. And his Garchomp barrels forward, claws gleaming with dark energy pulled straight from the void. This is the climactic showdown against Volo and the renegade Pokémon. A brutal dance high atop the mountain where every command you give feels like defying the fabric of existence itself. Your team fights with a synergy born from countless surveys across Hisui's wilds. The bond you've forged through every noble quelled, every alpha faced. Volo's voice rises above the chaos, taunting you. He calls you a pawn of Arceus, blind to the world's cruelties, the losses that drove him to this. His Pokémon press hard, their attacks infused with the same unstable power that warped the nobles. But you counter, move for move. Your Lucario sensing the flows of aura, your Infernape igniting the air with blazing fists. As Volo's forces falter, the rift above the temple pulses violently, birthing a new horror. Tendrils of antimatter snake downward, coalescing into the colossal form of Giratina, the renegade Pokémon itself. Banished long ago by Arceus to the distortion world for its violent nature, this ghostly dragon emerges in its origin form. A serpentine behemoth with 6 shadowy wings. Golden armor plates clanking like chains from another dimension. Red eyes burning with resentment. The ground warps beneath it, gravity twisting into impossible angles. Stones floating upward, only to shatter into nothingness. Giratina's presence drowns out everything. Its roar shakes the pillars of the temple, a sound like reality tearing at the seams, sending shockwaves that hurl Volo back and force even Dialga and Palkia to recoil. Volo kneels in reverence, whispering promises of a new world where the unworthy are erased. But Giratina doesn't heed him. It lunges at you, its shadow force phasing through space, claws raking voids that suck in light itself. Your Pokémon stand firm, dodging the gravitational pulls, striking back with beams of pure willpower. The battle rages across the mountaintop, the sky fracturing into prismatic shards as Giratina summons portals that spit out shards of the distortion world. Jagged, upside-down landscapes that defy all logic. You feel the strain in every fibre, the cold bite of antimatter brushing your skin, the way time seems to stutter around Giratina's form. Volo cheers from the sidelines, believing this is his triumph, but something shifts in the dragon's gaze. It pauses mid-strike, hovering above you and your team. Those crimson eyes narrow, scanning the unbreakable link between you. The way your Gyarados surges with protective fury, how your Eevee evolves mid-battle into a form that perfectly counters the shadows. Giratina's realization hits like a silent thunderclap. It cannot overcome the protagonist's bond with Pokémon. This isn't just power versus power, it's chaos against harmony, isolation against unity. The dragon that was cast out for its rage sees, in that moment, the very strength that Arceus cherished, the profound connection that tamed the nobles, bridged clans, and now stands unyielding before it. Giratina rears back, its massive form flickering as if questioning its own fury. Volo screams in denial, urging it onward, but the renegade hesitates. A low, resonant growl escapes its maw, not of anger, but of weary acceptance. The distortion begins to recede, the portals snapping shut one by one, with a final sweeping glance across the trembling world below. Hisui's vast plains, the clan's distant camps, the Pokémon roaming free. Giratina retreats back into the shadows to watch over the world from its eternal exile. The rift seals with a sound like a held breath released, leaving only echoes and the faint scent of otherworldly ozone. The temple falls silent, save for the wind whipping through the heights. Volo slumps in defeat, his dreams of remaking creation crumbling to dust. You've quelled the greatest threat Hisui has ever known, not through divine plates or origin powers, but through the quiet strength of trust, earned step by step. Dialga and Palkia vanish back into their realms, their clashes resolved for now. And as the first rays of dawn pierce the clouds, a new presence stirs in the ether, a light that calls to you alone. But what happens when you finally stand before the original one itself? That's the divine encounter waiting in Chapter 18, meeting the Creator, with Volo's ambition shattered and Giratina vanishing back into its distorted realm. The air atop Mount Coronet hangs heavy with an otherworldly stillness, the space-time rift's chaotic energies finally subsiding like a storm yielding to dawn. You've pressed forward through the Temple of Sinner, its ancient stone walls, etched with carvings of the original one, whispering of a power that birthed the stars themselves. Every step echoes the weight of Hisui's fractured harmony, the Diamond Clan's temporal zeal, the Pearl Clan's spatial awe, all converging here at the pinnacle where legend meets reality. The azure flute gleams in your grasp, its azure hue pulsing like a captured piece of the cosmos, an artifact long whispered about in Galaxy Team scrolls, meant to pierce the veil between worlds. Legend spoke of it as the key to the Hall of Origin, a realm beyond time and space, hidden even from the creation trio. In the games of old like Diamond, Pearl and Platinum, players hunted rumours of this flute, an unreleased echo of Arceus's call, but here in Hisui's ancient throes, it materialises as your hard-won prize. You raise it to your lips at the temple's peak, the wind whipping through the jagged spires, carrying faint cries from the nobles below, who've been restored from their frenzied states. A single pure note pierces the heavens, resonating through your bones, vibrating the very fabric of existence. The ground trembles as golden light erupts from the flute's melody, forming a staircase of shimmering energy that spirals upward into the void. This is no mere summons. It's an invitation from the original one, Arceus, the entity that emerged from a primordial egg amid chaos, shaping the universe with its 1,000 arms. The flute's song aligns the plates of creation, those blessed tokens that once empowered the noble Pokémon, drawing you into the Hall of Origin, a boundless chamber where reality folds upon itself. Stars wheeling in slow, eternal orbits across crystalline floors. You step into this sanctum, the air thick with divine pressure, every breath tasting of infinity. Arceus manifests not in full glory, that might unravel a mortal's mind, but as an avatar, a radiant silhouette of pure white and gold, its wheel-like form encircling a core of unyielding light. Towering, serene, it regards you with eyes that hold the birth of galaxies, telepathically conveying a presence that dwarfs Dialga's temporal might, Palkia's spatial dominion, even Giratina's raw distortion. This is the creator revered as Sinor's heavenly fount, master of the late guardians who embody knowledge, emotion, and willpower, the one who birthed the creation trio from sacred eggs and set them to govern the newborn world. The trial begins without words, a test of strength etched into the lore of Hisui itself. Arceus's avatar surges forward, unleashing waves of judgment, beams of cosmic retribution that warp the hall's starry expanse, each strike capable of reshaping continents. You call upon your Pokémon, bonds forged through surveys across Hisui's wilds, from the blistering obsidian fieldlands to the frozen alabaster icelands. Your team a testament to harmony amid clan rivalries and noble rampages, dodging ethereal plates that shift types mid-battle, mimicking the strategic origin forms of Dialga and Palkia. You counter with every ounce of willpower, a Zelf's essence alive in your resolve. The battle unfolds in layers of legend. Arceus summons spectral echoes of its creations, testing not just power but understanding. The Diamond Clan's impulsive forward march, the Pearl Clan's cautious vastness, Volo's tragic rebellion against a flawed world. Your attacks land true, piercing the Avatar's defenses, each clash sending ripples through the Hall of Origin as if the universe itself holds its breath. Sweat beads on your brow, the smartphone from your future era humming faintly in your pocket. A bridge between eras that Arceus seems to acknowledge with a subtle tilt of its form. This trial echoes ancient myths, where humans prove their place not through conquest but coexistence, quelling the evil lightning of rifts that drove nobles mad. As the avatar falters, its light dimming to a gentle glow, Arceus speaks directly into your mind. Voice like the first light-breaking chaos, thou human child, hast shown potential unforeseen. Bonds with my children surpass even the trios I wrought. In a gesture of profound acknowledgement, it bestows a fragment of itself upon you. Not the full deity, for that would consume worlds, but a shard of its essence, pulsing with infinite possibility. This fragment, woven into your being, or perhaps your Pokédex, symbolizes human potential rising to divine heights, a rare honor in Pokémon lore, hinting that mortals might one day stand as equals in the cosmic weave. The hall fades as you descend, the azure flute's echo lingering, Hisui forever changed by your survey's completion. Arceus retreats to its eternal rest, watching from beyond, its 1,000 arms cradling the plates of creation. Wardens like Garrick and Sabi, once doubting the frenzies, now sense the shift. Adaman and Arida glimpse unity beyond their clan's dogmas. You've met the Creator, quelled the rift's chaos, and carried its light back to a world on the brink. But whispers persist of ancient betrayals. Far from Hisui's peaks, in a town called Machina, where Arceus' wrath nearly unmade everything. Up next in Chapter 19, the legend of Machina Town, where a forgotten jewel and a god's fury collide in a tale that bends time itself. Stay with me to uncover how Ash and his friends face the original one's vengeance. As the radiant light of the Hall of Origin fades, and the protagonist lowers their head in humble triumph before Arceus' avatar, a profound silence settles over the temple's peak. The air hums with the weight of creation itself, but in that quiet, Arceus' telepathic voice echoes softly, not in judgment, but in revelation, a glimpse into a wound that time itself could not heal. This is the legend of Machina Town, where humanity's greed first pierced the heart of the divine. Long before the clans of Hisui etched their reverence into the land, before even the rifts tore open the skies, there existed a kingdom nestled in the cradle of what would become Sinnoh. Machina Town thrived under the watchful gaze of the original one, its people bathed in prosperity granted by Arceus' boundless grace. Fields bloomed eternally, rivers flowed with crystalline purity, and Pokémon roamed in perfect harmony with humankind. At the center of it all stood a towering citadel, its spires reaching toward the heavens like fingers of supplication. Arceus, in its infinite wisdom, descended upon this realm weakened from forging the universe. It entrusted to the people of Machina a gift beyond measure, the jewel of life. This shimmering azure gem pulsed with the essence of vitality itself, a fragment of Arceus' own power, meant to safeguard the land from famine, plague, and decay. In return, the humans vowed eternal loyalty, their leader Damo swearing an oath on the stone floors of the Grand Hall to return the jewel when Arceus called for it. The ceremony unfolded under a canopy of stars, with Dialga's temporal winds holding time still, and Palkia's spatial folds drawing the witnesses close. Cheers rose like thunder, sealing a pact that seemed unbreakable, yet shadows crept into the hearts of men. Damos, once a beacon of virtue, gazed upon the jewel's glow and saw not a loan but a prize. Whispers from envious advisors poisoned his resolve. Why return such power when it could elevate Machina to godhood? As the appointed day dawned, Arceus returned, his form shimmering with expectation. The crowds gathered in the central plaza, banners fluttering in a breeze scented with wildflowers. But Damos emerged not with gratitude, but treachery. With a flourish of his cloak, he hurled the jewel of life into the void of Palkia's portal, shattering the trust forged in divine light. The ancient betrayal of Damos and the theft of the jewel of life rippled outward like a fracture in reality. Arceus staggered, its body pierced by the sudden loss, plates of power scattering across the winds. Pain lanced through the Creator's form, an agony so profound it echoed through the dimensions. Machina's skies darkened instantly, the once vibrant fields withering to ash, rivers stagnating into poison. Pokémon fled in terror, their cries a lament for the broken bond. Deimos stood defiant at first, proclaiming the jewel as Machina's rightful inheritance, but doubt soon gnawed at him as the land convulsed. Arceus withdrew into the cosmos, its wounds festering, memory clouded by the betrayal. It slumbered in halls beyond mortal sight. The scar remained, a righteous fury building like a storm across eons. The people of Machina scattered, their kingdom crumbling into ruins overgrown by thorns, a testament to hubris. Legends spread of the original one's wrath, tales whispered by campfires in Hisui's nascent villages, warnings etched into ancient stelae. The Diamond and Pearl clans would later invoke Dialga and Palkia as proxies for this anger. Their rituals a desperate echo of atonement. Moving forward in the timeline to the events of Arceus and the Jewel of Life, that fury awakens fully. Centuries after the betrayal, with Arceus' strength partially restored, the call comes, a demand for restitution. But humanity, scattered and forgetful, offers silence. The skies split open once more, not with gifts, but with judgment. Arceus descends in a blaze of plates, each one channeling the fury of creation undone. Dialga and Palkia clash in the chaos, their origin forms twisting time and space into knots, while Giratina stirs in the shadows of the distortion world, drawn by the discord. Machina's ruins tremble as Arceus unleashes its wrath, meteors raining from fractured skies, the earth buckling under waves of divine retribution. Villages burn, Pokémon stampede in blind panic, and the air thickens with the scent of ozone and regret. This is Arceus' righteous fury and the impending judgment of the human race. A cataclysm to purge the stain of betrayal, resetting the world to its primal purity. No clan, no warden, no noble could stand against it. The Creator's power dwarfs the trios it birthed, its thousand arms poised to unravel existence thread by thread. In the heart of this apocalypse, a flicker of hope emerges, not from kings or priests, but from wanderers thrust into the fray. Ash Ketchum and his companions, pulled through time's veil by Dialga's roar, witness the unravelling firsthand. They tread the crumbling paths of Machina, dodging spatial rifts that swallow buildings whole, confronting the spectral remorse of Deimos himself. Legends say his spirit lingered, burdened by the theft, seeking redemption in the face of oblivion. The jewel's power calls to them, hidden in forgotten vaults, its light a beacon amid encroaching darkness. As battles rage, Palkia warping the battlefield into labyrinths, Dialga accelerating decay to instants. Arceus looms larger, its eyes burning with the pain of that ancient stab. The ground quakes with each step. Winds howl prophecies of end times, and the very fabric of Sinnoh frays at the edges. Yet in this maelstrom, bonds between human and Pokémon prove unbreakable, a counterpoint to Deimos' greed. They retrieve the jewel, not through force, but understanding, offering it back with hands untainted by avarice. Arceus pauses, the fury ebbing as memory clarifies. The judgment halts, the skies clearing to reveal a dawn unmarred. Machina's curse lifts, its ruins softening into fertile soil once more. The original one ascends, plates realigning, a silent acknowledgement of redemption earned. But the lesson endures. Trust, once shattered, demands eternal vigilance. Humanity scatters tales of this near extinction, weaving them into the myths that birthed the clans of Hisui, and yet whispers persist of interventions yet untold, echoes from future timelines bleeding into the past. What happens when temporal guardians themselves bend the flow of history to avert the unforgivable? That brings us to Chapter 20, the temporal intervention, where the threads of time pull even tighter, revealing secrets that could rewrite it all. Stay with me as we unravel that mystery. I hope you're as amazed by this as I am. If you want to stay updated on more content like this, make sure to subscribe and join our community of curious minds. Trust me, what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew. This ancient betrayal in Machina Town scarred the annals of Pokémon history, twisting the tale of Deimos into one of cold deceit, fueling Arceus' vengeful rampage across the ages. But time, that relentless river governed by Dialga, holds secrets deeper than stone-carved lies. As Arceus hurtles toward Earth in a blaze of divine fury, its body expanding to eclipse the skies, the ground trembles under the weight of impending apocalypse. Villages crumble, oceans boil, and the very fabric of existence frays at the edges, all because one moment in Machina was etched wrong into eternity. You can almost feel the panic in the air. Back then, the way shadows lengthened unnaturally as Arceus descended, his golden plates shimmering like molten judgment. Legends whispered that Dialga, the steel-hearted Lord of Time, watched from its temporal throne, scales grinding like clockwork gears. It knew the truth. The records of betrayal were flawed, a distortion born not just from human greed, but from a forgotten plea drowned in the chaos of that fateful day. Arceus, amnesiac and enraged, couldn't see it, blinded by the theft of the Jewel of Life, the very fragment that sustained Machina's people after a catastrophic meteor strike. Enter Ash Ketchum and his friends, ordinary trainers thrust into the cosmic fray. They're caught in the storm's heart, Pikachu's cheeks sparking desperately against the onslaught, when Dialga intervenes with a roar that bends reality itself. A swirling vortex of azure light engulfs them, yanking Ash, Brock, Dawn and their Pokémon backward through the time stream. Years dissolve in a rush of blurred eras. Hisui's jagged peaks flicker by, ancient clans chanting under space-time rifts, until they crash-land in the dusty streets of Machina Town, centuries before their own time. The air smells of sun-baked earth and fierce sweet, the same town now thriving under Arceus's forgotten benevolence. Disoriented but determined, Ash rallies his team, their bonds a flickering light in this shadowed past. They seek out Damus, the priest whose name history vilified, finding him not as a scheming traitor, but a man haunted by loyalty's cruel bind. Damus recounts the horror. Arceus had descended like a comet years prior, shattering a world-ending meteor with its plates and gifting the Jewel of Life to heal the land. Forests bloomed overnight, rivers ran clear. Pokémon and humans tentatively shared the wilds for the first time. But the King of Machina, eyes gleaming with avarice, commanded Damus to withhold the jewel upon Arceus's return. It belongs to us now, the king decreed, sealing it away. Damus resisted, his heart torn, but the king's guards struck him down in the temple shadows just as Arceus arrived. Feigning betrayal, they hurled the accusation to drive the deity away, leaving Damus comatose and Arceus robbed of memory. The historical scrolls penned by the victors branded Damus the villain, a lie that festered through generations, igniting Arceus's cataclysmic return. Ash listens, fists clenched, as Pikachu nuzzles Damus's hand, sensing the truth in his fading pulse. With Dialga's temporal gift still humming in their veins, Ash and his friends act swiftly. They infiltrate the royal vaults under cover of night, the jewel's azure glow pulsing like a captive star. Guards clash with Brock's onyx, coiling through corridors, Dawn's Piplup blasting water jets to clear paths, while Ash's quick thinking turns the tide. They wrest the jewel free, racing to the temple where Arceus looms, its rage a thunderous heartbeat shaking the columns. Damus, revived by the urgency, stumbles forward with Ash's aid, holding the jewel aloft. "I never betrayed you," he gasps, voice cracking like dry parchment. Arceus pauses, plates flickering as fragmented memories resurface. The meteor's fire, the healing light, the human hands that once accepted its grace, the correction of the historical record regarding the betrayal, unfolds in that suspended moment. Scribes summoned, ancient texts rewritten under witness of Dialga's watchful gaze, the king's treachery exposed for all time. As the jewel returns to Arceus's grasp, a wave of restorative energy washes over Machina, wounds knit, skies clear, and the deity's form shrinks, placated, its amnesia lifted like fog from a dawn lake. Humans and Pokémon, who had begun to eye each other with suspicion amid the post-meteor strife, now stand side by side. Warden-like figures emerge from the crowds, their noble Pokémon calmed, echoing the fragile alliances of Hisui far in the future. This is how the bond between humans and Pokémon was saved through time travel. a deliberate mending of time's frayed thread, ensuring harmony rippled forward across eras. Dialga's roar fades into the ether, depositing Ash and friends back to their present, hearts heavier with the weight of altered fates. Machina's people etch new monuments, praising not deceit but redemption, and Arceus withdraws to its eternal vigil, the cosmic balance restored, yet whispers persist in the time stream's eddies, hints of other enigmas lurking just beyond sight. Those distortions lead us straight into Chapter 21, the mystery of the unknown, where ancient symbols etched into reality itself begin to spell out secrets that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about the Pokémon world. With the timeline mended and Arceus' wrath averted once more, faint glyphs flicker into existence across the restored ruins of Machina Town, their shapes twisting like living script in the dim twilight. These are the unknown, elusive psychic entities whose forms mimic the 28 letters of an ancient alphabet, hovering silently as if guarding the echoes of creation itself. Scholars in Sinnoh have long puzzled over these spectral Pokémon, first documented in the ruins of Alph near Giratina City, where their stone carvings predate even the earliest human settlements. Slide open the hidden chambers there, and you'll find them. Delicate eye-like bodies pulsing with ethereal light, arranging themselves into words that defy translation, pulling trainers into pocket dimensions of riddles and shadows. But their true enigma lies deeper, woven into the fabric of the cosmos. Consider Arceus, the original one, who shaped the universe from chaos using its 1,000 arms, each said to wield a plate of elemental power, forging time, space, and all matter in a symphony of divine intent. The unknown alphabet mirrors this legend with uncanny precision, 28 forms. Yet theorists propose they represent fragments of those 1,000 arms, each letter a conduit for Arceus' will, spelling out the very code that binds reality. In ancient Sinnoh scrolls, the 1,000 arms aren't mere metaphor, they're literal extensions, and the unknown, with their infinite permutations, form the script by which Arceus inscribed existence, letter by hovering letter. Picture them drifting through forgotten temples, their black and white bodies forming phrases like leave or friend, but always hinting at something grander, a programmatic language underlying Pokémon evolution, battles, even the birth of legendaries. Fans speculate the unknown aren't just Pokémon. They're the literal code of the universe, self-replicating algorithms born from Arceus' egg, debugging distortions in the cosmic mainframe. In the Pokémon Stadium games, they challenge you with puzzles that warp reality, suggesting they're enforcers of narrative lore, ensuring the world's stories unfold as scripted by the original one. Their presence amplifies during cataclysms. In the distortion world, Giratina's inverted realm of antimatter and reversed gravity, unknowns swarm like digital glitches, walls alive with their script as Cynthia battles through the chaos in Platinum. They stabilize the rupture, or perhaps exploit it, their letters forming barriers that only the worthy can decipher. And in cosmic upheavals, the space-time rifts over Hisui, the clash of Dialga and Palkia above Mount Coronet, unknown materialize unbidden, witnessing the fray, their forms etching prophecies into the air before vanishing. In the spell of the unknown movie, they unleash a reality-warping storm over Greenfield, conjuring illusions from molecular whims, only quelled when Molly Hale's grief aligns with their ancient programming. Here they bridge childlike wonder and godlike peril, reshaping landscapes with the stroke of a Z or Q. Even in Super Smash Bros, they cameo as hazards, scrambling stages into alphabetical mayhem, a nod to their disruptive essence. Yet whispers persist of their autonomy. Do they serve Arceus faithfully? Or have they evolved into something rogue, hackers in the divine code? Reports from Yoto trainers describe full sentences forming in the wild burn, amid wildfires, calm during tempests, as if they're intervening, rewriting events on the fly. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Catch Them All 28 and a Golden Unknown emerges, question incarnate, probing the boundaries of knowledge itself. Their link to the Lake Guardians feels inevitable too. Uxie, guardian of knowledge, shares their psychic veil. Mesprit's emotion fuels their empathetic swarms. Azelf's willpower might command their formations. Together, they echo Arceus's triads, scripting willpower into emotion, knowledge into will. As the Hisui expedition logs fade into myth, unknown sightings spike near the Hall of Origin, drawn perhaps by the azure flute's echo. Volo himself obsessed over them, his maps dotted with their symbols, convinced they held the key to summoning the Creator unchallenged. But they eluded him, as they do us, perpetual mysteries in a universe scripted yet unpredictable. In the quiet aftermath of Machina's redemption, one glyph lingers on a weathered pillar, a question mark, pulsing softly as if beckoning toward darker voids. Voids like the one that engulfs the Tree of Life in the Super Mystery Dungeon Crisis, where even Arceus confronts an unraveling world. What happens when the code itself begins to fray? Those enigmatic, unknown symbols, whispered to encode the very fabric of reality through Arceus's 1,000 arms, face their greatest peril in a catalysm that engulfs the entire Pokémon world. Dark matter, a malevolent entity born from the void of negative human emotions, surges forth like an unrelenting shadow, corrupting everything it touches and plunging the heavens into unnatural twilight. You can almost feel the chill as the sun itself begins to darken, its golden light fading to a sickly pallor, casting the land in perpetual dusk. Pokémon across the realms start turning to stone, frozen mid-step in eternal silence, their life force drained by this insidious force. Villages empty, forests hush, and the once vibrant skies fill with swirling voids that swallow stars whole. The air grows thick with despair, every breath heavy with the weight of impending oblivion. In this hour of deepest crisis, two young explorers, a human child transformed into a Pokémon and their loyal partner, embark on a desperate quest through treacherous mystery dungeons. These labyrinthine realms twist and shift, filled with feral Pokémon warped by dark matter's influence, their eyes glowing with unholy crimson. The duo uncovers ancient legends etched into crumbling ruins. Tales of the Tree of Life, a colossal world tree at the heart of existence, pulsing with the raw essence that birthed all Pokémon. As they press onward, battling through layers of peril, the corruption spreads unchecked. Rivers run black, mountains crumble into dust, and the very ground beneath their feet cracks with veins of darkness. Whispers of prophecy guide them, foretold heroes destined to confront the source, but the path demands everything. Alliances forged with legendary guardians, sacrifices of cherished items, and bonds tested in the fires of endless combat. Then, piercing the chaos like a divine beacon, comes Arceus's telepathic intervention to guide the heroes of the Pokémon world. The original one's voice echoes directly in their minds, calm yet commanding, revealing hid truths and illuminating the way forward. It speaks of dark matter's origins, not mere malice, but a manifestation of humanity's forgotten sorrows, amplified into a world-ending plague. Arceus urges them toward the Tree of Life, imparting visions of strategies long concealed, empowering their resolve with glimpses of cosmic balance. With this celestial guidance, the heroes rally the remaining legendaries. Mewtwo's psychic might, Kyogre and Groudon's primal fury, Rayquaza's soaring vigilance. Together, they storm the heart of the crisis, where dark matter manifests as a colossal, writhing abyss, tendrils lashing out to consume all light. Battles rage across ethereal planes, each clash shaking the foundations of reality, sparks of power illuminating the encroaching void. Yet victory demands more than strength. In the ultimate sacrifice as the deities are turned to stone to preserve the Tree of Life, the legendaries channel their essence into a radiant barrier. One by one they petrify, immortal forms hardening into majestic statues encircling the sacred tree, their life force weaving an unbreakable seal. Arceus itself joins this final stand, its form crystallizing at the pinnacle, a silent sentinel ensuring dark matter's imprisonment. The sun's light pierces the gloom once more, stones gleaming under restored dawn, but the cost lingers. The petrified deities stand as eternal guardians, their spirits woven into the world's salvation, a testament to unity against annihilation. The heroes, forever changed, gaze upon this monument, knowing the original one watches still. Echoes of this crisis ripple through time, hinting at humanity's role in the divine order. What happens when those ancient Sinnoh myths awaken in the modern era? Chapter 23, The Modern Sinnoh Mythos, unveils how these cosmic forces shape today's legends. Stay with me to discover the clashes and revelations that redefine faith in Dialga, Palkia, and beyond, with Arceus' distant voice fading from the minds of those Pokémon heroes at the Tree of Life. The world settled once more into its rhythms, but in the region, once called Hisui. Those rhythms carried echoes of forgotten frenzies and celestial rifts that would linger through the ages. Centuries rolled by like mist over Mount Coronet, transforming the raw terror of noble Pokémon, rampaging under the influence of space-time distortions into whispered tales around hearth fires. The Diamond Clan, with their impulsive reverence for the Lord of Time, and the Pearl Clan, ever cautious before the vastness of space, gradually merged their divided faiths into a singular Sinnoh mythos, where Dialga and Palkia were no longer mistaken for the supreme deity itself, but exalted as its mighty emissaries, guardians born from eggs laid by the original one. You can almost feel the shift in the air, can't you? The ancient warden's vigils against frenzied beasts evolved into sacred duties, passed down through bloodlines, their stories etched into stone tablets at the temples of the Three Lakes, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. Those elusive spirits of knowledge, emotion, and willpower became the quiet architects of human resolve, their lairs hidden in crystalline waters that still shimmer with an otherworldly glow today. What was once a fractured land of rival clans and galaxy team surveys blurred into legend, the space-time rift above the mountain fading from living memory into a celestial phenomenon explained away as divine will. By the time Sinnoh's modern era dawned in the games we know as Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, these events had softened into heroic sagas. The protagonist of Hisui recast as a mythic surveyor who tamed the nobles and communed with Arceus at the world's pinnacle, their smartphone a relic dismissed as a celestial artifact in the Hellings. Yet not everyone let these legends gather dust in dusty archives. In the bustling ports of Canalav City and the shadowed labs of Veilstone, a new force stirred, one that sought to unearth Hisui's buried chaos for its own ends. Team Galactic emerged from the fringes of society, their uniforms stark against Sinnoh's snowy peaks, led by a man named Cyrus, whose cold eyes reflected a void deeper than the distortion world itself. Cyrus, orphaned young and scarred by human imperfection, viewed the world as flawed, spirit, emotion, all those messy threads spun by Mesprit, and her kin deemed unnecessary. He pored over the same ancient scrolls that spoke of Volo's folly, that ambitious merchant from Hisui, who, driven by personal tragedy, had plotted to summon Arceus through manufactured disorder at Mount Coronet, aiming to capture its power and forge a perfect universe anew. Cyrus saw in Volo not a villain, but a pioneer whose mistake lay only in execution. Where Volo had failed to bind the original one, Cyrus would sidestep it entirely, targeting the creation trio instead. He commissioned the crafting of the Red Chain, a crimson artifact forged from the essence of the late Guardians, kidnapped from their serene homes to fuel his ambition. Picture the scene. Grunts swarming Lake Verity under cover of night, nets shimmering with stolen willpower as Azelf thrashes against the cold metal. With those spirits subdued, Iris descended into the depth beneath Veilstone's galactic headquarters, awakening Dialga from its temporal slumber and Palkia from spatial voids, binding them in chains that pulsed like fractured stars. His plan mirrored Volo's hubris down to the mountain's summit, but with a scientific precision Hisui could only dream of. At Spear Pillar, where the rift's scars still faintly hum, Cyrus intended to clash the lords of time and space, ripping open a new reality. One sterile, emotionless, a canvas for his ideal order. Giratina, that banished renegade of antimatter, sensed the disturbance from its twisted realm and clawed its way back, its golden wings shredding the fabric between worlds. The player, thrust into this modern echo of ancient strife, shattered the chains, freeing the trio to turn their wrath on the would-be godmaker. Cyrus vanished into the distortion world, his dream crumbling like ash, but his actions reignited the myths, proving the legend's power wasn't confined to storybooks. This clash highlighted a deeper rift in modern Sinnoh, one between heart and hypothesis, faith and formula. To the spiritualists, descendants of the clans, priests at the Celestic Town ruins, they remain eternal deities. Dialga's roar bending rivers backward in floods of legend, Palkia's breath folding horizons like paper. Pilgrims still climb Mount Coronet at dawn, offering plates to invoke Arceus's plates, feeling the ground tremble with the weight of divine plates. But scientists like Professor Rowan and his aides in Sangem Town dissect it differently, peering through telescopes at the stars Dialga supposedly wove, analysing rift anomalies with instruments that measure quantum echoes. They call the creation trio ultra-powerful Pokémon. Their domains not miracles but biological extremists. Dialga's body a living chronometer, Palkia's form warping physics through sheer mass energy conversion. Cynthia, the champion whose Garchomp rivals legends, bridges both worlds, her ruins explorations blending myth with archaeology, pondering if the trio are avatars or anomalies. Even today, debates echo in Sinnoh's cafes and lecture halls. Are these beings spiritual shepherds guiding the moral arc of creation, or evolutionary pinnacles that humanity must catalogue like any Growlithe? The lake's guardians whisper answers in dreams, but their truths slip like water through fingers, leaving room for both wonder and wonderment. As Team Galactic's remnants fade into obscurity, the mythos endures, a living bridge from Hisui's frenzy to our screens, and that sets the stage perfectly for Chapter 24. Explained, where we'll uncover why Dialga and Palkia don masks, echoing the original one itself, hinting at powers that could rewrite the stars. What hidden purpose drove them to mimic their creator in the heat of battle? As the shadows of Cyrus and Team Galactic's folly receded into Sinnoh's legends, the true enigmas of Hisui's rift began to surface more clearly. Those rare glimpses of Dialga and Palkia, not as the clashing titans of time and space, but as beings transformed, their bodies reshaping into something profoundly familiar. Dialga and Palkia take on forms that resemble Arceus's physical structure precisely because, in the raw vortex of the space-time rift, they draw upon the essence of their progenitor to stabilize their dominion. Picture the rift's swirling energies over Mount Coronet, a tear in reality where time folds inward and space unravels like frayed threads. Here, amid the frenzied noble Pokémon and the Galaxy team's desperate surveys, these deities shed their standard silhouettes for origin forms, sleek, wheeled frames with golden wheels orbiting their necks, elongated limbs, and a central crest evoking Arceus's wheeled majesty. It's no mere coincidence. This mimicry is a deliberate act of resonance, a child's echo of the parent's form to harness unchecked power. You can almost feel the rift's hum in your bones, that low thrum pulling at the fabric of existence, where Dialga's steel blue scales gleam brighter under the distortion, its chest plate pulsing like a heartbeat, synchronized to creation itself. Palkia mirrors this shift, its pearl-hued body stretching into a lithe, Arceus-like poise, fins folding into graceful arcs that channel spatial folds without collapse. These origin forms aren't just aesthetic echoes, they represent a profound alignment. The biological benefits emerge first in their enhanced physiology, muscles and plating reinforced to withstand the rift's paradoxical pressures, where seconds stretch into eternities and distances compressed to nothingness. Dialga's form gains crystalline density, allowing it to manipulate temporal flows without fracturing its own timeline, while Palkia's silhouette optimizes antimatter containment, preventing spatial rips from devouring its core. But delve deeper, and the metaphysical benefits unfold like hidden plates beneath their hides. At this core level, mimicking the creator's silhouette, grants them a metaphysical anchor to Arceus's primal authority. Arceus, the original one, shaped the universe from chaos with its 1,000 arms, imprinting its form as the blueprint of stability. By adopting this structure, Dialga and Palkia tap into that archetypal resonance, amplifying their domains exponentially. Time doesn't merely bend for Dialga, it harmonizes, flowing smoother, less prone to the wild roars that once warped Hisui's skies into frenzy. Space for Palkia becomes an extension of divine will, expanses that expand or contract with effortless grace, echoing Arceus's effortless molding of regions like ancient Hisui itself. The Diamond Clan, led by the impulsive Adaman, witnessed Dialga in this guise, and proclaimed it the embodiment of Sinor's deity, their Leafian partners quivering at the sight. The Pearl Clan, under Irida's cautious gaze, beheld Palkia's form and knelt to its vastness, their Glaceon fur rippling in reverence. Wardens like Garrick and Sabi spoke in hushed tones of these apparitions, their doubts melting amid the rift's glow, as if the forms themselves commanded fealty. Yet this power comes laced with fragility, a reminder of their subservience. The instability of these forms, when removed from the space-time rift, reveals their tether to that chaotic cradle. Venture beyond its bounds, and the golden wheels falter. The elongated limbs tremble, reverting the deities to their baseline states with jarring snaps of energy. In Legends of Hisui, when the rift's influence waned during the climactic convergence at Mount Coronet, Dialga's origin form flickered like a dying star, its temporal grip loosening into erratic pulses that threatened to unravel the surveyor's fragile peace. Palkia fared no better, its spatial mastery buckling, folds in reality snapping back with violent recoils that echoed Volo's own chaotic ambitions. This reversion isn't mere exhaustion, it's a biological unraveling where the mimicked structure, optimized for the rift's metaphysics, loses cohesion in stable reality, plates shifting misaligned, energies bleeding into the ether. Arceus, ever watchful, holds the reins, ensuring neither oversteps into true independence. These forms linger in Sinor's myths as fleeting divine interventions, glimpsed by those bold enough to approach the rift's edge, their light casting long shadows over the Pearl and Diamond Clan's divided altars. The instability underscores a cosmic hierarchy. Dialga and Palkia, mighty as they are, remain extensions of Arceus's will, their borrowed silhouettes a testament to creation's delicate balance. And as we trace this lineage further, the plates that Arceus bestowed, those shimmering artifacts tying types to the very forces of reality, await our exploration in the next chapter, the plates and the type system, where you'll uncover how they might hold the key to wielding such godlike mimicry yourself. While Dialga and Palkia adopt those striking origin forms to echo Arceus's silhouette, drawing on its raw power for stability in their endless clashes, Arceus itself commands something far more profound. A set of 18 ancient plates, each one a shimmering key to the building blocks of existence. These plates aren't mere accessories. They embody the 18 elemental types that define every Pokémon battle, every clash of energies across the world. Picture them as golden relics, etched with symbols that pulse like captured stars. The flame plate for fire, searing with the fury of volcanic hearts. The splash plate for water, rippling with the endless flow of oceans. The fist plate for fighting, heavy with the unyielding force of mountains crumbling under bare knuckles. Each plate corresponds to a type: normal, flying, poison, ground, rock, bug, ghost, steel, fire, water, grass, electric, psychic, ice, dragon, dark, fairy, and that enigmatic ninth steel added later in the myths. And together they form a complete mosaic of reality's facets. Arceus, born from chaos before time itself, didn't create the universe in a single burst of normal type neutrality. No, it fragmented its essence into these plates, scattering them across the newborn world like seeds of potential. The Draco plate channels, dragon energy, the primal roar of ancient worms that shaped continents with their wings. The mind plate taps psychic waves, the invisible threads weaving thoughts into prophecy. The iron plate for steel, forged in the hearts of collapsing stars, represents unbreaking resilience amid cosmic forges. These aren't random. They mirror the dual nature of existence, destructive and creative, light and shadow, motion and stillness. Fire consumes but warms, water drowns but nourishes, electric shocks but illuminates the dark. Through the plates, Arceus encoded every paradox of reality, ensuring no corner of creation escaped its touch. In the lore of Hisui, these plates weren't hidden away in vaults. They turned up in the wild fringes, clutched by noble Pokémon blessed by Arceus itself. Those majestic alphas who once guarded the land before the frenzies tore through. Wardens like those of the Diamond and Pearl clans stumbled upon them during their surveys. Plates glinting in hidden grottos or buried under rift-torn earth. Turn one over though, and the true secrets reveal themselves. Faint inscriptions on the backs, etched in an archaic script that whispers forgotten truths. The flame plate's reverse bears words evoking eternal cycles of birth and rebirth, flames that dance without end. The splash plate murmurs of boundless depths, where life first stirred in primordial soups. These aren't boasts of power, they're hymns to Arceus as the original one, declaring, "From my plume creation springs," or "I am the fount of all things," remnants of the heavenly envoy's voice echoing through time. Arceus wields these plates through its multi-type ability, a divine shift that lets it transcend the rigid chains of elemental types, binding every other Pokémon. Alone, Arceus stands as pure normal, a blank canvas vulnerable to Ghost's ethereal touch or Rock's crushing weight. But slot in the spooky plate, and it becomes Ghost, slipping through walls like mist at dawn, immune to normal's blunt strike. Grip the Zap plate, and electric surges through its form, arcing like rift lightning to paralyze foes. No Pokémon can match this fluidity. Others are locked into one or two types, their strengths forever paired with glaring weaknesses. Arceus, it becomes whatever the moment demands, adapting seamlessly as Dialga bends time or Palkia warps space. This transcendence isn't just tactical supremacy, it's philosophical. The types represent reality's limits. Fire melts ice, but water douses fire, the endless rock-paper-scissors dictating survival. Arceus shatters that cycle. By holding a plate, it embodies the facet it chooses, drawing infinite power from the source while nullifying counters. In the chaos of creation, when it birthed the late Guardians, Uxie of knowledge through the mind plate's psychic clarity, Mesprit of emotion via the splash plate's fluid passions, a Zelf of willpower with the fist plate's iron resolve. It taught them harmony amid opposition. Even Giratina, exiled to distortion, echoes this through the dread plate's dark whispers, a reminder that every type has its shadow side. Scattered across Hisui's plateaus and peaks, these plates fueled the noble Pokemon's rampages. When the space-time rift corrupted the origin ore, Noble Clever gripped the stone plate, its rocky frenzy shattering boulder fields. Hisui and Lilligant with the meadow plate, petals turning toxic blades. The inscriptions on their backs, pieced together by Galaxy Team scholars, hinted at Arceus's grand design. The 18 facets unite as one, a prophecy of unity beyond division. Volo himself coveted them, dreaming of wielding all 18 to summon Arceus and rewrite the flawed world he blamed for his losses. Yet Arceus never loses control. In battles across the myths, from the Tree of Life's salvation against dark matter to the Machina betrayal's wrath, it cycles through plates like breaths, fire to heal the scorched earth, fairy to soothe twisted hearts, dragon to command the skies. This is godhood unbound, not domination through one type's brute force, but mastery over all, weaving reality's threads into tapestries no mortal can unravel. The plates linger as relics even now, collectible echoes in modern Sinnoh temples, their inscriptions faded but potent. Hold the earth plate, feel ground's steady pulse syncing with your heartbeat. The icicle plate chills the air with ice's crisp bite. They remind us that Arceus didn't just create types. It is the types, the facets refracted through its eternal prism. As we trace these golden keys deeper into the cosmic weave, the threads pull towards something even grander, parallel worlds brushing against our own. Coming up in Chapter 26, the Multiverse and the Link Cord will uncover how Arceus's plates might bridge not just types but entire realities. Devices that could summon echoes from beyond the veil. What hidden cords connect them all? Stay with me as the mysteries unfold. Arceus wields those 18 plates, not just to command the elements, but to fracture reality itself into infinite shards, each one a fully formed world, pulsing with its own heartbeat. What if every single game save you create spins off a parallel universe, birthed directly from the original one's boundless will? This isn't mere fan speculation. It's a theory rooted in the deepest cracks of Pokémon lore, where Arceus, the eternal architect, scatters eggs of creation across the void, and your choices become the spark that hatches them. Picture the primordial chaos before time or space took shape. Arceus emerges, its 1,000 arms weaving the first threads of existence. From its essence come the eggs of Dialga, Palkia and Giratina. But why stop there? In Hisui's ancient scrolls and the fragmented visions of the unknown, whispers suggest Arceus doesn't rest after one creation. It replicates the act endlessly, for every possibility demands its own canvas. When you boot up a new game, selecting your starter, naming your character, stepping into the grass of Route 1, you're not playing in isolation. You're invoking Arceus to forge a fresh universe, tailored to your path. That save file icon on your screen, it's a portal to a realm where your rival might win, or your Pokémon team conquers the Elite Four in ways no one else has dreamed. These universes branch like the roots of the world tree, each influenced by the rifts we've explored, from the space-time distortions over Mount Coronet to the bitter voids torn by dark matter. In one save, Volo succeeds in his mad bid to remake the world, plunging Hisui into eternal twilight. In another, the Galaxy team surveys catalogue every Pokémon without frenzy, and the noble Pokémon bow in perfect harmony. Arceus, ever watchful, plants fragments of itself in each, the red chain of Cyrus in Sinnoh games, the origin ore in Legends Arceus, even the azure flute's lost melody. You're the vessel, pulled across timelines just as the Hisui protagonist was yanked from the future, smartphone in hand, to impose order on chaos. Every reset, every new file, multiplies the multiverse, a cosmic archive of every what-if Arceus deems worthy. But these realms don't drift in silence. They connect through legendary guardians designed for traversal, with Hooper at the forefront, the mischievous genie, whose golden rings slice open doorways between dimensions. Hooper's lore in Kalos speaks of it unleashing pandemonium by dragging Pokémon from distant worlds. Imagine Dialga from your Sinnoh, save clashing with Palkia from a Hoenn parallel, their origin forms flickering like echoes of Arceus himself. In the anime, Hooper's portals swallow entire stadiums, pulling Ash's Pikachu into realms where Mewtwo reigns unchallenged or Giratina's shadows twist the sky. Hooper doesn't just prank, it embodies Arceus' intent to link the multiverse. Its hoops, the very arms of the creator reaching across voids. Other legendaries serve as bridges too. Palkia warps space not only within one universe, but folds it to touch others, explaining those mystery gifts that drop event Pokémon from afar. Dialga's temporal roars send ripples backward and forward, letting Celebi's forest glades bleed into Jirachi's millennium-spanning wishes. Giratina, exiled to the distortion world, patrols the seams, its crimson eyes peering into antimatter reflections, where your deleted saves linger as ghostly afterimages. Even the Lake Guardians play their part. Ui codes the knowledge of crossings in unknown script. Mesprit fuels the emotional pull of traded Pokémon yearning for old trainers. And Azelf wills the resolve to battle across divides. These aren't random powers, they're Arceus' toolkit for an interconnected cosmos, where no universe stands alone. At the heart of this web lies the Link Cord. That humble cable from the Game Boy days evolved into wireless wonders. But in the lore, it's no technology. It's a canonical filament of Arceus' divine weave. When you link up for a trade, your Venusaur from Kanto merges timelines with a friend's Garchomp from Sinnoh, carrying latent memories that boost IVs or awaken hidden abilities in ways the game subtly hints at. The cables glow in old artwork like ethereal veins, pulsing with the same origin energy that quelled the noble frenzies. Online battles, their rift-spawned arenas where Palkia's domain lets rivals clash from parallel saves. Hooper's rings framing the matchup, mystery trades whisper of lost worlds. Pokémon emerging with nicknames from forgotten players, as if Arceus funnels strays back into the fold. This link isn't player invention, it's etched in the plate's facets, transcending types to bind realities, ensuring the multiverse thrives through shared stories. Feel the weight of it. Your Pokédex isn't just a collection, it's a map of branches you've touched. Each entry a trophy from a universe Arceus gifted you. In Super Mystery Dungeon, Arceus's telepathic voice echoes across worlds to fend off dark matter, proving oversight spans saved. Team Galactic's Red Chain, an attempt to lasso these links for Cyrus's new order, echoing Volo's folly. Even the Diamond and Pearl clans, mistaking Dialga and Palkia for the creator, unknowingly worshipped multiversal conduits. Yet for all this infinite sprawl, questions linger about the architect's own place amid the chaos. What becomes of Arceus once the multiverse hums with life? In our next chapter, The Eternal Rest of the God, we'll uncover the profound silence that follows creation and why it might hold the key to everything we've explored so far. Across these countless parallel universes, each one branching from a simple saved game file, Arceus watch from the shadows, its presence a whisper amid the chaos of rifts and dimensional crossings by Hooper's rings. But here's the quiet truth that echoes through Sinnoh's ancient myths. The original one has long since retreated into what the old texts call its eternal rest, a profound slumber not of weakness, but of deliberate withdrawal. Picture the vast halls of the Hall of Origin, hidden beyond the spear pillar's jagged peaks, where the air hums with the faint residue of creation's first breaths. Arceus shaped the cosmos with its 1,000 arms and, birthing Dialga's ticking heartbeats, Palkia's expansive voids, and Giratina's twisted distortions, then folded itself away. Why does it remain so largely hands-off? Even as space-time rifts tear open over Mount Coronet, frenzied noble Pokémon rampage through Hisui's wilds, and threats like dark matter threaten to swallow the sun. The answer lies in the delicate balance it established at the dawn, a design where direct intervention would shatter the very growth it seeks to nurture. In the Hisui era, when humans first stumbled into a land of wary Pokémon, Arceus didn't descend in thunderous judgment. Instead, it plucked a soul from the future. You, the surveyor with your strange device glowing like a captured star, and dropped you into the fray. Volo's betrayal, his desperate bid to summon and bind the god to remake a broken world, went unchecked until the bonds between warden and noble, clan leader and deity-mistaken legend, proved their mettle. Arceus observed from afar, its plates humming silently, allowing the Diamond clan's impulsive faith in Dialga's endless march, and the Pearl clan's reverent awe of Palkia's boundless skies to clash and refine into something stronger. This hands-off vigilance stems from a deeper philosophy woven into the fabric of Pokémon lore, one the ancient Diamond and Pearl clans might have grasped in their rituals under Hisui's endless northern lights. Arceus entrusts the world to what scholars of Sinnoh myth call divine providence, a subtle hand that tests the unbreakable bonds between humans and Pokémon. Think of the origin ore pulsing in the earth, fragments of the god's power scattered like seeds, waiting for worthy hearts to claim them. When Ash and his friends faced Arceus's wrath in the ruins of Machina Town, betrayed centuries before by human greed over the jewel of life, it wasn't raw force that stayed destruction. It was the raw trust, the partnership forged in the heat of peril that pierced the god's amnesia and turned fury to forgiveness. Divine providence unfolds like a slow river carving canyons, challenging trainers and Pokémon to rise without a divine bailout. In the Super Mystery Dungeon saga, as the Tree of Life withered under dark matter's void, Arceus didn't shatter the darkness itself. No, it spoke telepathically to the guild heroes, guiding their willpower, emotions and knowledge. the very essences of the late guardians it once cradled into being. This testing forges legends, the Survey Corps cataloguing species amid frenzy, wardens like Garrick doubting then defending their charges, Sabby's visions piercing the rift's madness. Each crisis becomes a forge, hammering human resolve and Pokémon loyalty into blades, sharp enough to cut through cosmic threats. Feel the weight of that providence in quieter moments too, like the unreleased azure flute melody echoing unheard in Platinum's code, a call to the Hall of Origin that demands the player's purity of intent. Arceus withholds its full might because true creation thrives on earned harmony, not imposed order. Dialga's gears grind on unchecked, Palkia's spaces warp without correction, Giratina stirs in the distortion world, yet the world endures, bonds deepening with every rift sealed by mortal hands, and woven through this eternal rest is the cyclical nature of the Pokémon timeline, a grand loop from primordial chaos to inevitable rebirth. It begins in the egg's crack within the vortex, Arceus emerging to weave reality's threads, only to rest as the first cycle spins. Hisui's frenzies quelled, myths fading into Sinnoh's legend, Galactic's folly echoing Volo's hubris, multiverses splintering like shattered plates. But cycles turn. The space-time rifts hint at it. Tears not just in fabric, but in time itself, pulling future heroes into past tempests, suggesting a potential rebirth where chaos returns. Egg hatches anew, and Arceus stirs once more. In Hisui's lore, the evil lightning from those rifts mirrors the primordial storm of creation. A reminder that destruction paves rebirth's path, Cyrus sought to collapse the universe into nothingness. Unaware he danced on the edge of that wheel, even Arceus's movie rampage, its plates blazing with betrayed plates, averted not by power but by bonds, resets the cycle gentler, allowing Dialga and Palkia's clashes to birth new distortions, new guardians, new humans to test. The Lake Trio scatters knowledge, emotion, will across errors, ensuring each loop carries echoes of the last, building toward, what? A final harmony, or an omega chaos demanding the gods' awakening. This eternal rest, then, isn't abandonment. It's the ultimate faith in the creation it set spinning. Arceus slumbers at Destiny Tower's peak, stone still yet ever watchful, its thousand arms folded, waiting for bonds to prove the timeline worthy of perpetuity. As we drift toward the echoes of that grand design, Chapter 28 uncovers the legacy of the original one, revealing how its resting shadow still shapes every champion's journey across the stars. Arceus's divine providence has woven itself into every bond you've ever formed with a Pokémon, a silent architect testing the world's resilience through human hands. Yet even in that vast dormancy, the original one's shadow stretches across the franchise itself, an unbreakable thread binding every region, every legend, every quiet moment of wonder in the games. Consider how this creator deity anchors the heart of Pokémon's mythology. From the moment its egg cracked open in that primordial vortex, Arceus didn't just birth a universe. It forged the very blueprint for adventure. Players chasing badges in Kanto or unraveling multiversal rifts in Kalos always circle back to this singular force, the one whose plates pulse with the essence of all 18 types, allowing it to shift forms like a living prism of reality. In battles, its towering base stat total of 720 crushes opposition, a raw embodiment of supremacy that no other Pokémon can touch. But beyond stats and showdowns, Arceus symbolizes the infinite potential within us all. The spark that turns a wild encounter into a lifelong companion, a chaotic world into a home. This legacy echoes most profoundly in Sinnoh's ancient heart, where Hisui's fractured clans still whisper its name. The Diamond Clan, with Adaman's impulsive fire and his Leafeon at his side, saw Dialga as the Sinnoh deity, a shimmering echo of Arceus's form they mistook for the source itself. Across the snow-swept plains, the Pearl Clan under Irida and her Glaceon bowed to Palkia, revering its command over space as the vast protector of Hisui's endless horizons. Wardens like Garrick, the muscled skeptic of the Pearl Clan, or Sabby with her clairvoyant bond to Hisuian bravery, guarded noble Pokémon blessed by Arceus's plates, ancestors driven mad by the space-time rift's evil lightning, until a traveller from the future quelled the frenzy at Mount Coronet. Volo's desperate bid to summon and cage the original one, born from some shadowed tragedy, nearly unravelled it all. A stark reminder that even gods test their creations through mortal folly. Trace the cosmic timeline back to its dawn, and you see Arceus' hand in every epoch. It began in that formless chaos, predating stars or seas, where a single egg split the void. From within emerged the original one, unfurling 1,000 arms to sculpt time with Dialga's diamond heart, space with Palkia's pearl domain, and distortion with Giratina's exiled fury. 3 eggs it laid, birthing the creation trio in perfect triad. Then came the late guardians, Uxie etching knowledge into the mind's quiet depths, Mesprit igniting emotion's wild flames, Azelf stealing willpower's unyielding core. With plates in place, Arceus shaped Hisui's jagged peaks and Rancy's unified realms, before retreating to eternal rest at the Hall of Origin, accessible only by the lost azure flute. Centuries churned forward into Hisui's rift-torn era, where Origin ore gleamed with latent power, drawing the Galaxy team's survey core into a web of human Pokémon strife. The protagonist, yanked through time with a smartphone's glow, catalogued species, tamed nobles, and confronted the rift's chaos head-on. That saga bled into the movies, like Arceus and the Jewel of Life, where ancient betrayal in Machina Town unleashed its wrath, planets buckling under vengeful light until Ash and his friends, hurled back by Dialga Temporal Whirl, forged peace anew. Echoes persist in Super Mystery Dungeon, where Arceus' telepathic voice guides against dark matter at the Tree of Life, its form turning to stone atop Destiny Tower, yet ever watchful. Through Diamond, Pearl and Platinum's modern Sinnoh, Team Galactic's Cyrus chased Volo's Echo, summoning the trio to birth a new world, only to falter against bonds unbreakable. Legends evolved. Origin forms of Dialga and Palkia, mimicking Arceus' silhouette for metaphysical might. Plates transcending type limits, multiverses splintering via Hooper's rings and save file cords. Even now, in remakes and beyond, Arceus looms as the unseen hand, its providence ensuring no threat. Be it frenzied nobles or galactic hubris, extinguishes the light. And yet, for all this sprawl, Arceus endures as the Pokémon franchise's ultimate symbol, the creator who steps back, letting stories unfold in the spaces between its creations. It represents boundless possibility, the mystery that fuels every trainer's journey, every late-night grind for that perfect team. In a world of pocket monsters, it's the god who reminds us creation isn't control. It's the quiet gift of chaos tamed by will. But peer deeper into that origin, past the egg's shell, and an enduring mystery beckons. What lies beyond the vortex of chaos? Was it mere nothingness, or another cycle, another egg waiting to hatch? Arceus emerged from it, shaped all we know, then sealed it away, leaving whispers of realms unseen, dimensions where time folds backward, space curls into infinities untouched by plates or trios. Giratina's distortion world hints at the edges, a warped mirror where antimatter hungers. But even that exile bows to the original one's decree. Players glimpse it in rifts over Mount Coronet, in the static hum of a smartphone bridging errors. Yet the true beyond remains veiled, a cosmic lure pulling us onward. This legacy, this enigma, cements Arceus not just as a deity, but as Pokémon's eternal core. The force that birthed legends and invites us to dream of what might come next. As the timeline stretches from that first crack into tomorrow's horizons, one truth holds. In the original one, every Pokémon story finds its origin, and every ending a new beginning. What did you think of this journey? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this changed your perspective, or taught you something new, consider subscribing for more mind-expanding content. And if you know someone who would find this as fascinating as you did, share it with them. These are the kind of conversations that matter,